and your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only...
But why? $22 million in 3 fucking hours!
There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.
Neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. Why?
What's your dream? To go away.
To go away. That's right.
Do you guys want to drink? I don't understand why everybody has to be so judgmental. I understand why mom's judgmental. I think it's because she cares partially. I think it's also partially because everyone else is looking at her like, hey, Cody's just a bum. Cody's this, Cody's that, Cody's this. Cody's me, bro. Let me be me.
Yo, GM everyone. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to all the homies watching. Hope you guys are doing well. Nice little bounce that we got over the weekend on Bitcoin. So we have a lot to talk about here today. Great show, great lineup. We have a fantastic schedule for the week as well. So a lot coming for you guys, potentially even the public side of the Discord. So a lot of things coming. Hope you guys are doing well. Hawks, GM, hope you guys are good. How was your weekend, boys? How was your weekend? Let me know. What you guys, anything interesting happen over the weekend? I know for me, I was mostly like offline, but I had a nice little trade setup that I saw on Saturday form on Hyperliquid and ended up not paying any attention at all. I just set the limit order and I enjoyed my weekend, and I looked this morning and it was an absolute freaking banger. I smashed the hype long and I got in the long at like, I think it was 56.5 down here. Just freaking down here, like 56.5, like absolutely caught the wick just off the limit order before it started to run. A lot of things running today. I think I bought more Opal include as per usual. Smart. Money. That right there is what we call a smart guy. Pixel.
Smart lad. What's up, boys? What up?
Dom,
What up?
the homie. What up? What up,
Chill.
G? What up?
I missed Friday. You had Sandra on talking about fire. What's the TLDR? What's the recap on that?
All right. So so basically fire is it basically pays you for how long it basically pays you to hold. The longer you hold, the more payouts you get. And he didn't make fire. He didn't build fire. Another dev did it, and like I guess he accidentally bought basically 20%, what amounted to be 20% of the supply on FOMO app. And I guess because of that, he just kind of
20% of supply.
I guess he didn't realize like how much I guess he didn't realize like how much the market cap was at the time, or I think he fat fingered or something. Either way, he buys 20% of the supply, doesn't realize it. And then like, he now becomes this kind of de facto face of the protocol outside of the team, but like becomes kind of like the bullish KOL, for the protocol. And I guess, shortly after, I guess, price dipped down or whatever, people were calling him a scammer or this or that. So he decides, he's like, you know what? Bump this. I'm burning the 20% of supply that I bought. He burns the 20% of the supply. And then he's just gonna, he's committed to like helping. He sees the vision. We talk more broadly about on-chain experiments and, experiments like Fraudsworth and, and the like. So MECFI is what we're naming it for the time being.
It doesn't roll off the tongue, dude. I'm still like set on figuring out a new name. Have we checked Fraudworth recently? I know the chart's been looking really good, but I haven't like tapped in since I looked like a week ago because you can't do this thing on the DEX. You got to go through their website, which is like not it.
Yeah, that's why I haven't like recently checked. Let me see Fraudsworth analytics. All right, let's take a look here. Let's take a look, see what we got. Let's do
We're seeing
profit.
a bit of the perp on Solana season going on too. So a couple interesting things. It feels like we're actually like in a better place. Oof. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but okay. We're in an interesting place. Yeah. Well, it was going up last I saw. So, but we're in an interesting place in the market, bro. There's like 3 or 4 different experiments that are doing pretty well right now on chain. Whereas like 2 months ago, it was just like doom and gloom. Like no one was trying anything. There was no experiments. AI was dead. Everything was dead. Now we're seeing experiments pop up. Like a lot of this MECFI stuff with Zinc. Obviously, Zinc's now like a top 5 revenue generator on Solana. The TGC gotcha stuff popped up. This portfolio meta's popping up a little bit. Obviously, the World Cup stuff's gained a bit of traction, with the World Cup folios or whatever. AI's kind of been blowing up a little bit. Yeah, there's a few experiments. It's kind of an interesting time to be on chain right now. I'm not gonna lie, even though dog shit.
And that's why, like last week, we were talking a little bit about how, especially with Sonder, I was like, well, a lot of people might be bearish because we're lows on Bitcoin, we're losing 60K and et cetera, et cetera. Palmadiji, GM. Yeah, definitely going to be a huge week. Appreciate you, bro.
We had some last minute fills coming in too. Actually, you'll be happy to hear, Palmadiji. I think we have what's it called, Bunny OS coming on. So I know that was one of your recommendations, I believe. So shout out.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, sir. And they're in Singapore, so they're pulling some strings to make it happen. It's gonna be like 2 a.m. for them. So yeah, that's interesting.
Dang, nice. And by the way, good call in the Discord, Palmadiji. Jeez, nice little couple X's there. Since you mentioned, it's looking good. Can't wait to have them on. See what they're building. Let's see. What were we talking about? Yes. So we're talking about the on-chain experiments on Friday, and we're talking about how, on-chain everything is actually looking like it has a bright future. People are building cool stuff again. People are trying new things again, like you mentioned with the on-chain experiments. And that's happening as Bitcoin is losing 60K. Or at least that was the case on Friday. And for me, that's more bullish because, like you always say, Dom, time in the market is better than timing the market. So if we spend a couple of months, chopping around, in 2-3 months time, if these experiments are still around and they're still building, we're going to know who they are. Likely we would have interviewed them on MCG. Likely we would have, been able to build out a list of all these things that are happening, and
that's going to be the
really
real
take
edge.
advantage.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. There's I'm feeling it in my giblets that we're going to get a robotics season with all the stuff coming out about robotics. China had their Chinese New Year recently, and they had this big show with a bunch of the robots they're testing out. Kind of feels like, based on these conversations we've had, I'm seeing rumblings of early stage robotics really blowing up. RoboStrategy, obviously, recently coming out and, building the private equity positions in robot companies. Peak's doing a lot of stuff over there. I'm a big fan of Impulsor, CPT, and their drone, defense stuff they're doing. So I kind of feel like we get a robotics run here in the next 6 months. Not sure when, but I think AI is at the point now where robotics and robots can really be productive, right? They have the spatial awareness now. They can do these things, and it puts us in an interesting spot. And so, kind of goes back to what we said. The real edge is now in 6 months from now, sitting back when the robotics meta or whatever it may be, use the robotics meta as an example, starts picking up. We can go back and say, okay, well, we had SR on, we had Codec on, we had Peak on, we had, and the list goes on. And you can kind of just think back to, okay, this interview was pretty cool. It fits directly with this narrative. Let's start bidding. And that's the case for everything, right? So in AI, in DeFi, in whatever, MECFi, whatever it might be, perps, you're going to have a bit of an edge. And I think I'm really excited for that season to come back, because I know for a fact I'm going to go through a list of 450 plus interviews and be like, okay, here's all the perps we covered. Here's all the robotics companies we covered, and kind of just go through and position some of those. So it's honestly good positioning here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you think? We got 100%. A robotics season?
I think we do, man. I saw something. Actually, I think this is a really great part of this conversation that we can have. And there's a couple other news points that I want to get. I'd like about AI. And I think this is an interesting part of this conversation that kind of helps me to see that perhaps perhaps people might even get bored of certain aspects of AI, right? So game, and let me pull my screen up here.
Do we want to cover macro before we go into this kind of news? We got some time, or you want to just go straight into it? I'm game for whatever.
I'll do this, and then we can do show summary, macro, and then and get ready for the first interview. Cool. But yeah, so Game quote tweeted this tweet. So it's oh my gosh, endless amounts of tweets. But then I saw Chamath, and I saw this MIT study. Basically, this MIT study said all of this to say the amount of AI output does not equate to the amount of innovation, the amount of shipped products, the amount of more users that use apps. So you might have, more people coding with AI agents, but just because you have more people coding doesn't mean that more products are shipped. It doesn't mean that, new users adopt the new technology that's being released. So all of that to say, Chamath said it well. He said, using AI to code without a clear intent up front is just AI slop waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. Before typing anything into AI, you should have thought long about it, right? And then this is where Game comes in, and he basically said, it's not just about code. It happened even with social media. Just because social media kind of democratize access to, people being able to write, the good writers got distribution. And then everyone else just, the gap just got wider. And he said the same thing, the same dynamic is playing out with AI, except in 10x speed. People already think clearly, about how to use. People who think clearly and know how to use these tools, they ask sharper questions. They can iterate. They're higher. Their output is much higher, but they're compounding based on an already strong, mental thought process, right? They already have good critical thinking skills. And when you combine that with AI, now you're looking at something that becomes insane in terms of output. But what he says here is everyone else, they handed off the thinking entirely. People need a prompt now to even think about anything. They need to ask ChatGPT, and they've literally, you know, a lot of
What
people
kind of app should I build? Give me a list of 10 different apps I should build.
Exactly. They've completely removed the critical thinking, and what Game here says. He says the cognitive gap that already existed is now structural. The good thinkers are ahead, and then, you know, everyone else that's outsourcing their thinking to LLMs, the gap just gets wider for them.
Now, but this also means us as speculators, investors, people that are looking at these really early stage products, like, it's more key than ever now to differentiate the wheat from the chaff, right? And find the builders that have been in the game for a long time, have had these theses. I think that's the most powerful thing, right? Because you're right, we're having these builders now. It's become so easy and democratized to build these things. I can go up and cook up some slop right now, but the difference is I'm not someone who's had this deep-rooted issue or belief system for a long time. I just thought of something and cooked it up. So slop comes out so fast now. And so I think the biggest people and narratives to position around are those that have deep theses. And I think we're seeing a lot of this in today's era. If you're looking at what's running, go back and like do a little case study on some of these founders. I'm seeing that a lot of them are more like deep, thought-provoking people who have written out long-form theses and have thought about something for a long time, rather than I think your traditional founder where it's, you know, less writing, less thesis pieces, and more like, you know, this is the problem I'm solving for, which is also still good. But when you have to separate the wheat from the chaff, like we're talking about here, you want to find someone like Chill mentioned that's been thinking about these things for a long time and has a deep-rooted belief system, and they want to see if this thesis plays out, which is when you see cool experiments like shout out Top Fumbler, like Pearl, or, you know, other experiences like experiments like we're seeing happen on chain, mainly on base, I think, with like Repo, Litcoin, you know, these deep theses. Now let's try to put this into reality because I have these, you know, abilities that I maybe didn't have before. And those are like really interesting to bet on. So maybe let's make this into something practical here, Chill. There's going to be a lot of slop that comes from this. How do you differentiate, you know, the slop from the diamond in the rough here? Because there's so much, and it is kind of like finding that needle in the haystack when there's so much supply. You know, it's kind of hard to pick out who the best people are going to be. Is this just a classic bet on the founder situation, or like, you know, how do you make that differentiation?
You know, not to toot our own horn, but I think this is where the advantage of like watching our streams comes into play.
Exactly.
I mean, getting a founder on and having him like actually, hold on one second.
Yeah.
But yeah, like having these founders come on and really like share their thesis, you know, as far as like what they're building, you can sense their passion. You can sense how well versed they are about the sector that they're building in. Yeah. You can get a sense of like, you know, how deeply involved are they both in their past life and currently are they in the technology that they're building? Is this more of like a crypto trader turned builder, and he's like, doesn't really have any experience doing anything, but is just kind of interested and he's building something? Or is it, you know, this was a builder in this niche, you know, way before crypto was even a thing? Does he have like a lot of experience? And I think, you know, our streams really help us to develop that edge as far as like, I mean, after 500 plus interviews, bro, we've done a lot of interviews. You get a sense of, you know, you get a sense of being able to develop a filter. Even if you watch our streams, you even like have developed this, I don't know if to say like a sixth sense, as far as like, if someone isn't willing to come on MCG and talk about their product, low-key, that's bearish to me.
So, dude, I'll give you an example of this. This whole surplus thing. I'm not sure if you guys have been following surplus with Mac. Surplus is one of these compute marketplaces, which has started to come up quite a bit as this conversation grows. And of course, like also having these live conversations every day, you definitely get to see like what's on the cutting edge, what's emerging as a thing. And obviously like these compute costs are at the front and center right now. They weren't maybe a month or two ago, but now everyone's saying, okay, compute costs are heavily VC subsidized. Prices are only going to continue to rise. Now we're looking at, you know, open source models or other models that we can get for, you know, 90% discounts to the actual, you know, to the prices of other models. Right. And so as we see these people come on, you know, I'm doing outreach, Chill's doing outreach. We're talking to all these people, and the ones that are unwilling to come on, it is pretty telling. Half of the VCs out there. Thank you, Roman. Well, I think most of the VCs, I don't know if that's saying much. Most of these VCs are pretty awful, I'll tell you that. But
I'm not gonna lie. That's actually like a crazy thing for Roman to say. Like I'm super flattered by that, actually, Roman.
It is, yeah, it is.
Like, Roman, I think that's really, I mean, we try to do great work, and sometimes you wonder, like, man, is this a net positive? Like, am I doing a good job? But then Roman comes on the show, and he's like saying all these nice things, and it really, this pumps me up, man, on a Monday. On a Monday early afternoon. Let's go.
Look, Chill, there's a very few subset of people's opinions that I actually will take at face value and like value. I'd say Roman Parks are one of those people who not only is he handsome, but he's very smart. So he's got it all going on. I mean, he's a lucky man.
But physiognomy does not lie.
No, yeah, he's got the physiognomy check. Hopefully Impulsor's doing well. Of course, they're cooking. I think I saw one of you guys mention in either the Telegram or something, you guys are looking to raise. So you're having a lot of conversations with VCs, I think, now. And yeah, I'm curious to hear, I guess, where they think the ball is heading. Obviously, I think it's very stupid obvious to both yourself and us that the ball is heading in the direction of this private defense sector and where you guys are building into. But I'm wondering if VCs are also picking that up. Nonetheless, to kind of close out this thought here, we see someone like Mac who's on base building Surplus, which may be a really cool product, but I mean, if you're unwilling to go and communicate with the community, if you're unwilling to be forthcoming about what you're building, I think that's been like the biggest gripe a lot of people have had with Surplus. I think it says a lot. Whereas you see someone like Squire, who I believe is building something very similar to them in terms of compute marketplace, sell your excess DM, sell your excess GPU, on this marketplace for major discounts, and people are going to use it. But the difference is he came on the show and he was being forward facing and forthcoming about what he was building, his thoughts, his thesis, his ideas. And I think it does say a lot about the founder to come and do that. And recently, of course, Mac sold some of his surplus, which caused it to dump majorly. And it's simply a founder education thing. These founders don't know the protocol and standards of crypto. And I will say a lot of those protocols and standards are absolutely the most dumb things in the world. Like, founders should be able to sell their tokens just like founders go and sell equity. Like, at some point you have to subsidize this stuff. Now, Mac could have gone about it better. His communication was awful and poor. But that's besides the point. I think it is telling of the founders that come on the show and they're forthcoming about what they're building, and really gives you a better idea and sense of what you're investing in, much more so than just like texts or tweets really do. So I would agree with you there, Chill, in a big way.
Let me ask you this, bro. Did the Surplus dev like deny an MCG interview?
No, he didn't deny it
or decline.
MCG interview.
I should say.
He just I mean, I know he's seen my stuff. Like, I've DM'd him, I've commented under his stuff saying I've DM'd you. He's just chose not to do public appearances. It's not just MCG. There's been a few people trying to get him, and he just declines to do it. On top of that, he's just very closed in on what he's tweeting and talking about. And I'm not following it super closely. I have him on a list so I can make sure to follow up and reach out to him and stuff, but I'm not following super closely. But the common verdict from the people I'm seeing on Twitter is Mac is a god-awful communicator, and like a little bit of communication would go a long way in this case. And like, I think there are people that generally aren't even mad about him selling. It's just like the way he went about it, not telling anyone, going ahead and selling with very little communication. It was like it was one of those back me bro banker coins, right? So someone else launched it for him, claimed the fees bros. So the question, has been like, is Mac going to just abandon this? Does he actually like the token? Is he going to what is he doing? And so it's a big issue.
Yeah.
GitLab, for example, built a token through him. Yeah. Kevin from GitLab, we've talked to, we have Telegrams open with him. I'm not sure whatever had happened. He was supposed to book a time with us, but he never did. But it is telling. It's funny, Chill. Like, we have these conversations. You said it's like a sixth sense. Almost everyone that comes on the show, and typically we do not let people on the show if we think they're going to be a LARP. So like, it's only happened like twice or it's happened more, but like a few times where people were blatantly LARPing coming on the show. Number one, during our conversations, I think it was very, very, very obvious that they didn't know what they were 100%. Talking about or building like non-novel technology. And then number two, like, I think almost instantly after, we were like,
nah.
Yeah. No, it's like, that's just not it. What was it? There was one recently.
Dude, it was that guy building the trading, the AI agentic trading platform. Yeah. And like, you asked him about supply, like, okay, like, how much supply did you guys own? And he didn't want to disclose. And it's like, okay, well, why did you I
think I even pulled up on the screen. I'm like, well, all of these are clearly your wallets. It's like 20 wallets all holding 2.5% each. I'm like, clearly these are your wallets and bundled. Like, yeah, oh, that's hilarious. I do remember that.
Yeah, and he like, he was a very well-spoken dude, but like you can just tell, man. You can just tell it was just a lot of word slop, a lot of word salad stuff with his responses, and then shortly thereafter he just ended up dishing it, and rugging the project. So, but I mean, at the end of that interview, we were like, yeah, no. We literally were like, yeah, no. But
so I don't know.
Speaking of LARPs,
the original, yeah.
Speaking of LARPs, I got a question. We're still gonna deviate. At this point, we're just gonna just keep going. Do we should we welcome back our boy?
Well, I've always
pardoned.
I'll tell you this much. I've done the welcoming back for Sam Bankman-Fried. This guy, if he had a little bit more time, he would have been a generational investing talent. I mean, he already was, right? This guy, I believe, was Jane Street, or he was working at some quant shop. He was crushing it over there. He went to go create FTX. FTX was doing great. It was just terribly organized. Everything was unorganized. They lost money. They didn't know where things were. And of course, Sam Bankman-Fried being an altruist, whatever it's called. I forget the full word of it, but he thought he was able to do more good with people's money than they were able to do with their money. So it was just of his belief that he should get everyone's money, make as much with it, and then give it to the causes and things that he felt were better. Nonetheless, it's a financial crime. Okay, maybe because I'm in the finance world, I'm a little more like used to financial crimes. But like, I don't know if someone should be getting as much time as someone like Sam Bankman-Fried's getting for financial crimes and nobody ended up getting hurt from this. Of course, it did cause a lot of onslaught and like effects, but everyone in FTX got made whole. It is, to my knowledge, everyone that was in FTX got made whole. Now, of course, it did cause massive tanks in the market, right? Solana, the ecosystem kind of, really took a hit from that. So I'm not saying it was without harm. People probably did some terrible things because of this, but it is a financial crime. I think everyone's made whole on the FTX side. And Sam Bankman-Fried, by the way, held like a bunch of Anthropic. Like this guy would be going on a generational run. I mean, we're talking like, what's his name? What's this kid? Leopold. This Leopold kid who's absolutely going crazy with his investments. I think is basically what Sam Bankman-Fried was. Like that dude was a crazy investor. I had a list of his portfolio before, obviously, it was liquidated in the FTX stuff. But I mean, he had a big chunk of Anthropic. Like he was pre-seed or seed round Anthropic. Like one of the first checks that went into Anthropic was Sam Bankman-Fried, along with some other major companies. So he's a cracked investor. Like the kid knew what he was doing. Yeah. I'm riding for the pardon on Sam Bankman-Fried. Yeah, he's a weirdo, but he was a generational talent. I can't lie.
Yeah, he definitely was. Honestly, like seeing the way that his portfolio would have performed had they not sold everything off, it was just more of like, hey, like just trust the process type of situation. Yeah. But man, I mean, look, you're definitely a generational talent. I think I'd be open to it. Look, he's definitely like terrible financial crime happening to cause like an implosion in 2022. Almost took down the whole industry, like terrible stuff that he's done. But at this point, if he like served some time, and if he comes back and he's like more honest about things, like I'd be open to like he's actually a cracked investor. He's actually can do a lot of good.
Well, and we should have asked chat before we gave our opinion. Chat, what's the take on Sam Bankman-Fried? What was that line in Drake's new album?
Samuel Bankman-Fried, all my guys up.
That's right. Samuel Bankman-Fried, all my guys up. No one's been doing more bag working for his freedom than SBF. So I'm not gonna lie. This guy's on Twitter, glazing Trump. Like he is absolutely leaning into this part, and he's working for it. I can't lie. I think he started donating money to Trump. He's been writing these threads on like how Trump is so amazing. Look, there's a bit of glaze going on, but the kid knows what he's doing. That's for sure.
100%. GM Top Fumbler. Hope you're doing well. Look, guys, it's 1:05. We got about 10 minutes till our interview, which can't wait. Can we ask about the timeline stuff with them?
Okay, let's prep the interview. Okay. He's a cartoon super. He needs to be in like, you guys remember the Incredibles, right? Where they had that one kid who wanted, he's a big fan of Mr. Incredible. And somehow he turned evil, and then he made that suit that has like all the little tentacles from it. That's what I picture SBF as. He's like, some nerdy, little autistic kid, but he's absolutely cracked. Like fighting ability, athletic ability, probably non-existent, but he could create some super nerd tech and like be a super villain. Genuinely.
100%. Man, trading on FTX was the top tier experience. I never traded on FTX actually. I used FTX right before it went down, and they took the remaining SOL that I had. I was on FTX and I forgot I did something, but I just lost like just access to the account and all this other stuff. Yeah, FTX was just not poor experience.
He used customer deposits to fund his lifestyle. Yeah, look, okay, it was unethical.
It was unethical, 100%.
We're not here defending the ethic, the ethicality or whatever of Samuel Bankman-Fried, but he was a Jenny talent, and yeah, that was a fire line, bro. Samuel Bankman-Fried, more guys up.
But yeah, so look, so that's it for the Samuel SBF talk. Okay.
We need to get his portfolio up, guys, because if you guys haven't seen his portfolio, like this dude was actually cracked, like actually one of the most cracked investors. Yeah, let's talk Root Edge. We got Root Edge coming on in 5 minutes. Now we got Scissor coming, not CEO Chad, as he goes by. Scissor goes by Scissora or something. But CEO Chad is the CEO of Root. Recently, there's been a massive public like banter with Banker. I'm really not sure what it's all about, but here, look at this. Yeah, which is crazy, by the way. Seeing a lot on the timeline regarding surplus. Right, we talked about this. Also seeing the Banker team attempt to say, don't sell your tokens, which is the most LARPy attempt at providing advice to builders. Listen, bros, here's the take. And before I will preface that we are not and will never sell accumulated Root. Rather, we just slap it into LP. Lol, good luck, buddy. Guy doesn't get a response in Telegram for 24 hours and goes off the deep end. Virtuals should be a good fit for you. One more thing, get fucked. Wow. This is why you are a retard, as mentioned above. Retard. What's going on here, dude? Why are we doing this on the timeline, bro?
I don't know. I'm actually I'm actually pulling up the tweet now.
Direct quote from the CEO of Root Edge. This is why you're a retard, as mentioned above. Retard. Lol, good luck, buddy, from Deployer. Lol, good luck, buddy. Guy doesn't get a response in Telegram for 24 hours and goes off the deep end. Virtual should be a good fit for you. One more thing, get fucked. Oh my gosh, what's going on? This is peak cinema, I'm not going to lie. I should have been following this more closely. This is a great tweet.
Like it's absolutely amazing, and I thought I had the original tweet saved because I'm like, unless they
oh dude, oh my gosh, if I had a relationship with Deployer, I would so make this happen right now. Like, dude,
put them both on a stream. Done.
Dude, I've been trying to get in contact with Deployer. Okay, I'll give Root this. Deployer must not have responded to him for 24 hours. Valid, because Deployer, I cannot get in contact with this guy. We do so much public good for his entire ecosystem, and I cannot get in contact with him.
Yep.
But I would be so happy to make this conversation happen between CEO Chad and Deployer right now. Like, that would be awesome. I don't even know what they're fighting about. I really don't even know what they're mad about.
The peak cinema. I was just pulling up like the original tweet. I just wanted to see like was anything he said in here credible? Like, is this all just like baseless, right? So I wanted to read through this. He said the Banker team has been absolutely retarded.
Why is he talking like this though? Like, look, I'm cool with the retard word. I'm cool with slurs. Like, that's but like this. If we're trying to keep it professional, you're trying to build an investable token. You shouldn't be on Twitter talking like this. Like, hey, locker room talk, whatever. It's cool. We can come on here as streamers. We're idiots, smooth brains. We can do that. But this guy has a product that people are investing in.
No. This is exactly what I want my founder that I've invested my entire life savings into. This is exactly what I want him to say. I mean, completely and utterly LARP mouth breathing retard mode.
Wow.
What?
Not just
this guy's going in. Yeah, not just in literally never supporting us as we literally nuke 4 scam projects to zero to protect our users in the banker ecosystem, but in our efforts to reach out to them for support after noticing they support actual scams on the timeline over showing us love in any way. Beyond showing us love, we genuinely expected any type of support, like liquidity and that sort of thing. It's simply never happened, nor have we had any efforts or indication it ever will. Now we see the banker team tell founders to sell wrapped ETH instead of tokens, while the team literally eats off of the projects they're criticizing, has led me to make this post. It's simply LARPism. LARPism is a word.
Nope.
And Root AI isn't afraid to stand up and say something. FVCs is just a marketing sham. There's no room to critique a team when you're the reason the team is literally unable to fund themselves. Oof. At least VCs give people money to build. You simply take and piggyback off of others while LARPing as some VC replacement. With all that being said, gonna hit up virtuals.
Yeah, and happy to make that connect for you guys. With that being said, because virtuals, they do come and support MCG and help us get people on the show. So shout out virtuals. But yeah, with that being said, I will play devil's advocate here for Root Edge. I don't understand why it's so difficult to reach banker. I mean, they do have a pretty thriving ecosystem. They should have much better comms. We'll take that at face value. Now, I'm not over here defending Root Edge. This is just stupid behavior. I was telling Chill before this, I'm not invested in Root, but seeing this makes me kind of disinterested. I think from the sideline, it seems uninvestable because you don't want to have such a sporadic founder at the helm of the ship here. If I got my money in something, you want to feel secure and safe in that. So, MCG and the Jerry Springer arc, Pixel, dude, I would love to make this happen. I would love when the market heats up again, dude. I remember when they had Ben Pasternak and what's the name of that one guy? He was creating another launch pad. They had Ben Pasternak and Peaceful Decay on a stream, on a Thread Guy stream. And it was actually very cordial. But dude, I would love to have some more head-to-head conversations on here.
That would be absolutely amazing. I'd love to do that. I'd love to set a day where we every week, we just have a stream like that. That would be amazing.
We could do better. The thing is, as soon as we can't throw people into this, otherwise we burn all these relationships. But we should have more argumentative streams, right? One person
debates. We'll call them debates. Keep it classy here. We're not debates,
right?
We're not Neanderthals. We keep it classy.
Or we could even, another idea is, Roman, you kind of just sprung this in my head here. Fight Fridays. We could do live interviews. This has never been done before. Live interviews inside a boxing ring. Have you seen chess boxing or boxing chess or whatever, where they play a round of chess for 2.5 minutes or something, and then they box for 2 minutes, and then they go and play chess, and you have to either win in one. Whoever wins in one of them wins the match. We could do that where there's a debate, and then in between debates, you just throw hands. Absolutely just throw haymakers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cage fight, UFC style. Let's go.
Dude, we have
Roman, who do you not like? We'll go to Geneva right now and make this happen. Let us know. What's another robotics company, or if there's a VC that's giving you guys issues, let's make this happen.
Let's just get it done. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. All right, this is what a start to the Monday stream. This is
we did have, what was it? Who was it? Stig? Did we have Stig on, or was it Taylor?
It was Stig.
We did have Stig on after the whole Believe debacle, and Avi and Bobby did rip Stig a new one. And I was sitting here, I'm like, okay, yeah, well, our relationship with Believe is out the window.
I would love to do these. I'd love to call them debates, be fully transparent with both sides. Hey, look, see, you guys disagree with this on the timeline. Come stream, box out in between, and then debate another one. And then we'll see who comes out on top. We'll let the chat vote.
Yes, nonetheless, Roman training MMA for 15 years. Let's go. You're so handsome. I tune in to watch Dom fight his way out of the closet every day of the week. All right.
That's crazy.
All right. With that being said, bro, it's time. Scissors in the back rooms here. He probably thinks we are idiots, which wouldn't be super far from the truth. Nonetheless, we got Root AI coming on. We got Scissor coming on to talk about this. I believe it's a trading platform integrating AI with it, which we've seen a lot of. And of course, the question always comes back to, how historically viable is this? Has this done this historically in the past? Is there good back testing? Can it do it in the future? Because we see a lot of these AI trading algorithms crash and burn. And then is this the direction we're headed in, right? Finance, DeFi, we're seeing it more so head to this agentic future. And I think it's undeniable that agents are here to stay. So we got to see where those loop in. We got Scissor coming on. Firstly, we're going to get the whole Root Edge banker situation covered here, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the interview. Scissor, man, we appreciate you joining us today. We're excited to chat.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
Doing good. Highly regarded. CEO Chad, intern, said, you're the man. You're going to break it down to us good today, and we're going to have a great understanding of all things Root AI leaving. Is that accurate?
I mean, yeah, basically. I'm kind of the guy that I don't really, I prefer not to prepare for these things.
Good.
It's just like, dude, podcast style. Let's talk, ask some questions, and have a good time.
I'll say this. Yeah, I'll say this. With these interviews, it's really nothing to prepare for. You come on, when you get a sense of someone's passion, their knowledge about a certain sector, when they can just come on a stream and unprepared and just spitball and just talk game, talk your sector, talk your product. You don't need a bunch of spreadsheets or PowerPoints. Just straight off the dome. That's what we love to see.
You don't make spreadsheets. Come on.
Hey, there are people that hop on and give full presentations.
Yeah, we've had a few founders go full presentation mode. That's also respected. But I love these. I love these more informal discussions. But,
Scissor, are you using the iPhone 17 here? I'm seeing the face tracking go on here.
Dude, no, I don't know what the hell I'm using. I'm using some Ozbot Tiny 3. Dude, there's like an app. I'm like, dude, who makes an app for a webcam? And I don't have the app installed, so it just has these weird like smart tracking features, which kind of annoys the hell out of me, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
The iPhone 17 has this for FaceTime, and it's so trippy. Like, you can't hide it. They can see everything. So
yeah, I'm like, chill
out. Nonetheless, dude, we got to start. I think at what everyone's wondering here. We got you guys on before this whole like public falling out with Banker happened, but this is probably not even you at all. But like, who's behind the account? What's going on? What's going on right now with this Banker situation?
Dude, I mean, honestly, I barely know. I woke up like 2 days ago, and I was like, dude, guys, like, what happened overnight? like go to sleep at normal hours, please, and then like tell me what you're gonna do before you say something. No, I mean, I think the main thing that happened was really just like the intern and the CEO. They're just like, go. And there just wasn't enough communication and kind of, I think, the ambition of what the CEO is trying to achieve. So they're just like, we're done. You guys don't really care. You're just trying to farm projects for volume. And I mean, I'm not saying that's how I would have handled that situation, but dude, the CEO and the intern, they've got like their impressions are like kind of crazy. So I'm like, you know what? If you guys were failing and pissing people off, I'd be like, this is unacceptable.
Right.
But you're also making people laugh and having a good time. So maybe you're going to rustle some feathers, but whatever.
They're definitely leaning into the all publicity is good publicity thinking there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's even the situation? It's just Deployer hasn't been getting back to you guys on Telegram, or it's just little to no support.
I mean, there was a little bit. We were waiting on some partnership like keys or whatever, and then dude, even like the CEO flew to New York City. He just flew this weekend because I think the Banker team was going to be up there and he was going to chat it up with them, and it just didn't end up happening or whatever. I don't know. He kind of he was just like, dude, I'm going to call you guys out on Twitter or something. And I was like I said, I woke up to it, so I wasn't informed, but this is what happened. And this is, this is how we're going to play the game, I guess.
It seems like Seems like CEO Chad's pretty mobile. I mean, he was texting me. He said he's gonna be down in Florida here, and that he's like, "Let's just do a pop-up interview, like in person." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a first."
Yeah, I mean, and then he was on the phone with Virtuals yesterday for like almost an hour and a half. So he was. I think it's just been that mentality of like, are we gonna get business done or not? And then he's like, okay, you guys don't value me. You don't value the protocol. I'm just gonna call up Virtuals, and that's what he did.
Yeah.
So he talked to them for like it. So he kind of, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't care. Virtual's also elite. So
I guess the part for me was, I mean, you know, everything happened, and, you know, it's funny. It generated impressions, all these other things. But I guess the feedback that I wanted was, you know, is there any validity to the, like, in terms of the banker team, or do they not support like projects that are building in their ecosystem? I thought they did, but from what you guys are saying, I guess, was there a reason why they had like this kind of slower communication?
It depends on your definition of support, right? Because if I create a protocol and I want you to use it, so I make fees off of you, like, am I supporting you, or am I just like making money off of you? Like, what's support to you?
Chill, unless you have an answer, I could jump in. I think support for me would be like acceleration, right? I mean, do we have programs we can put you in? Can we give you relationships? Hey, you're building an AI tool. Well, we have this, you know, really cool terminal you should integrate with, or whatever it might be. You know, kind of crafting that ecosystem, accelerating, you know, whatever it might be. Yeah, that's how I would look at it.
You know, Virtuals, you get like a massive bonus if you hit like a certain market cap. They give you like, there's like a tiered bonus. I think you get like the protocol themselves gets like a liquid like 50 grand at a certain market cap, and I think it goes up to like $500,000.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
like if you produce for that ecosystem, you're getting paid cash without having. It was the comment on don't sell your token, just do the wrapped ETH, and then it was like, yo, you're taking like 30% or 36% of the protocol's like fees already.
Yeah,
you know. So that's I think what triggered the call out initially, and then knowing kind of the way the Virtuals supports other builders, it was just like, well, can you give us a better deal?
Yeah, well, credit to the Virtuals team, because this is like has been true for me. I mean, I've tried to reach out to Deployer. We do a lot of public good for the base ecosystem, and many of the cases or people we cover are, of course, banker products. Just cannot get through to them. So, I mean, there's some credence there. Whereas the virtual guys, they reached out to us. Hey, we love the work you're doing with these people that we work with. Like, let's set up a chat, and like happy to refer you guys and, you know, I guess work at a deeper level. So credit where credit is due. The Virtuals team is definitely on top of it in that sense. And I do think they like,
you know, those two protocols already kind of fight with each other. So it's like, you know, join, I guess, the winner. I mean, like, I don't know. I've been in this industry for 9 years. So like, I'm the most skeptical person now. I'm just like, that protocol's mid. I have such a high like standard because I know how this shit works, and it's like most things just fail. Dude, like, come on,
cynicism is real.
Dude, like, who's gonna be here in like a year? Like 99% of these things are gonna be gone in a year.
Okay, well, I think that's a good pivot then into what Root AI actually does. I think generally aligned with everything you just said. Yeah, let's figure out, why is Root AI going to be here in a year? Can you give us a quick, I guess, intro on yourself? You've been in the game for 9 years. Where did you come from? How did you get involved with Root AI? And then we'll jump into, I guess, product here.
Yeah. So I met all the guys in a dead Discord, in another protocol. I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to say where, but I met them in a dead Discord in like that actual community, like voice chat. It was like probably right around this time, like noon, just like a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And I was just like, yo, what's up, guys? Like, I just happened to have like 30 minutes. I was just trying to kill. And we all just kind of like, whatever, laughed and talked for like an hour. And for me, I've been doing algorithmic like trading going back to 2018. So all these like protocols and things or whatever, I don't even call them protocols, because all these things where it's just people are like, Bloomberg terminal, AI, agentic trading. No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not. And I'm not trying to like be mean about it. It's just like, you can't just, you should vibe code. You should totally like be productive with how you do AI assisted programming. But like, you really, really actually have to go to the source and understand how you're going to like, you know, handle your latency systems, how you're going to handle your data ingestion pipeline, your like math or your trading logic. And then once you get all that stabilized, then you can actually get to trade execution or trade submission, which is where algorithm comes in, right? You can't really automate any of that if you don't have, same thing for Polymarket, when there's all these Polymarket bots or all this money, it's all lies. Like you have to spend a lot of time understanding the nuances of the APIs, the data, market data, like market environment, which can change, right? We had like what, like airstrikes or whatever yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Market sold off on Friday, airstrikes yesterday, market bounces green. Like you can't just like program in like a weekend with like some, you know, $100 of LLM credits and then you got a bot. So that's kind of like been my background though. So
now
when
real
I met
quick,
these guys
even further on this, you said you started in 2018. Now 2018 and the market today are very different. I've been trading for a long time, and I've had these conversations with people building algorithms. And it's like I'm a hard sell on algorithmic trading, because I know the best algorithms are contracted out to, you know, quant shops and these big funds, and like there's non-competes. Like you cannot get your hands on those. The retail does not have access to these. And so we know the market even back then in 2018 was much different in terms of volatility. Like today, you're right. So much is news driven, narrative driven. It's really a weird time like to be in the market. And so like the algorithm today is probably has to be way different than the algorithm that worked in 2018.
Oh, dude, it was the easiest money back then. You didn't have to, dude, it was so easy. And I'd rode my 2017 portfolio like down to nearly zero, but all you had to do was buy low and sell high on multiple exchanges. And like that high frequency trading, and we had like a server in London and like a server over in Tokyo. And that was it. That was enough. You know, we had like BitMEX and Deribit and Bybit and Binance, and then you were good. Like you were good. There was no like huge competitors. But now it's like way different. You actually kind of need to be more directional. I mean, you can still farm like the funding rate. I just don't think it's like worth it unless you're trading with a lot of capital.
That's what a lot of these DeFi protocols are doing nowadays, right? To get you know, stable coin yield, they're just doing funding rate arbitrage, and it's pretty basic stuff. But all right, sorry, I just wanted to touch on that and how the markets have kind of changed a little bit. But continue with where you were going on to how that brought you to.
Yeah. So then when I ran into these guys, and it was in like another whatever, you know, dead chat and whatever, and they showed me some of the stuff they were working on, and I was like, well, this isn't like that bad, like the other developer. And then I was like, I asked them like, what server, like, you know, what are you using right now? And they gave me this name, and like, it's a decent thing to like set up very quickly. But I was like, dude, like these are like scaling costs. It's like variable, you know, variable cost servers basically. I was like, dude, like let's update this whole thing. And they only had like one perp dex at the time. I was like, let's add a couple. Let's get the stock market. Let's get Hyperliquid, you know, RWA perps. Like, let's bring it all in. So we're more on, I would say, the quantitative research and development side. I wouldn't say Root AI. Root AI is not a trading bot. It is not a trading algorithm. And people have sometimes like, yo, can I like see your GitHub, or, you know, like what does your resume look like? And I'm like, I'll tell you what, you talk to anybody in the industry, if you got a decent bot, and I had a really good one still for like Bitcoin options or just general like options algorithm, you're never going to see that. I'm sorry. You're never going to see that. You can write a check, a very large check, and we could talk. But this is, okay, so you pulled up the website. Yeah. So this is a great app if you're a big fan of like bring your own keys, basically. You can do that. If you're somebody like me who understands also that users want like the most frictionless experience, you can literally take our MCP URL, our public URL, and you can put it right in Claude. You can put it in on Claude desktop, on Claude mobile, or whatever, on the web, however you use it. And you can interact with the Root AI MCP right out of Claude. So you don't even have to leave. You don't even have to go to our website. You don't even have to know anything about us. You can just stay in Claude. And to me, that's the real selling point, because I know how users are, and I'm not going to try and convince you to not use Claude or use ChatGPT or whatever LLM model you want.
Yeah.
So simplicity is better. And I'm not a big fan of over-promising and under-delivering. So I will not be building anybody an algorithm, just for the record. For the record, unless you're a quant shop and you want to talk, like we'll talk. I'll fly to you, right? But like if you're just some random dude on crypto Twitter or AI Twitter, I'm sorry, there's no algorithm.
So then explain what it is you're offering, I think, in more depth. You mentioned quant research, right? I can plug this into Claude. You know, explain what that actually looks like in practice.
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys have Claude right now or open, even with the free version, you can basically go to your Claude settings. There's this thing called like artifacts or connectors, and you click on connectors, and you literally take our URL, which is like rootedge.ai/MCP. I mean, I can go snag it for you. It actually says that right in the website. I mean, you can literally, it shows the directions right there in the website. Yeah, you see right there, that HTTPS, you can literally just copy that and you can just paste it in your connectors, in your MCP connectors. And that's it. I mean, I have some videos of screen shares of me it's just mobile screen share, me and Claude. And like, I'll like talk to Claude. I gave her like a sexy voice. Sometimes I call her Claudette or Claudia, just to be funny,
Claudia.
Yeah, but I'm like, yo, show me like space sector stocks, right? And it goes like Yahoo Finance, Google Finance. And there's a difference between using an LLM to do a web search versus using an LLM and pointing it to data endpoints or API endpoints. So you might have heard the term unified API service, right? It's basically that, but it's a unified MCP service for your LLM of choice. And it's like, I don't care what your LLM, like I support all LLMs. Like I said, I support you not even using our website. If you're like, dude, I just like using Claude Desktop. Like we're in, right? That's what a good product is when you don't force the user to have to really go anywhere.
So what makes this, I guess, gives you more of an edge using Root Edge rather than just using whatever, is built into current ChatGPT, the large language model that's trained off of, and searching, hey, give me a list of space stocks, rather than, why would I want to use Root Edge? Is it aggregates more specific data? Like, what is the edge here? I know I keep saying edge.
Yeah, it's going to be more, I mean, truly it's going to be more accurate. Like you can just do a web search. If you do a general web search, you know what access to information you have? You have access to the same information as everyone else. And if you have like access to free APIs, then yes, part of what we offer, you have access to free API information that everyone else has, as long as they're connected to the APIs. If you have access to paid for or exclusive market data, then it's an even smaller subsector of information, specialized information that you have that not as many people have. And that's basically how you find edge in the market. That's why they call it alpha. You have to have access to information that very few people have, or you have to be able to have some sort of foresight as to what creates that alpha until that plays out. And then we've even got an agent that feeds right into Telegram or right into the Discord. It reads the order book on Hyperliquid. It reads the funding rate change. And it's totally autonomous. So it's not even like me, or it's none of us are like tinkering around, and like it's just in pure agent mode. So you can actually click it, see right in that website as well. There's like a part that I think says like signals, and you'll see all the Telegram stuff come in. Well, hit enter app. You got to hit enter app. Yeah, and it's pretty basic. Like I'm a back end guy too, so it's like I don't really care too much. Hit
right here.
Yeah, it should load in a second. You don't even have to like open Telegram most of the time. Yeah, like there you go, like Brent oil right there, right? And it gives you like a grade. It gives you a confidence score out of like 100. It tells you how rare it is. Like, I mean, you can try and make your own signals. I recommend people make their own signals or make their own trades. But yeah, you're right there at the bottom too. Yeah, it tells you the grade A 75 out of 100, rare. Like that's all our own like custom rating system. So I mean, you can just follow along there as well. And I know everyone. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, do you have like any case studies, like of users that have made their own signals, been successful, or anything like that?
No. So earlier you guys used the word backtest. Backtesting is like the biggest waste of time ever. Agreed. And the only thing you can do is
why?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. Well, first off, I could spend an hour, maybe a couple hours, and be like, yo, I backtested, I got these amazing results. Well, guess what? Like backtesting is, I know what already happened. So I can keep tweaking and programming and changing the results until my backtest results look successful, because I know what happened, right? So you already have it's biased data. It's called data leakage. And you need what's called data hygiene. So like when you do machine learning, it's called walk forward testing. And that's where actually like the machine learning model, because people got to remember, like AI, it was AI ML. That was the original version of AI. It was AI and machine learning. It wasn't AI and LLM. LLM is just predictive based like text output. So you got to do walk forward testing where the algorithm is blind to what the future is. And machine learning really just predicts patterns. So it's looking for some sort of outcome, but you're not back testing. You're literally trying to predict what happens in the future based on mathematical formulas or mathematical patterns. So that's why I say don't spend your time doing it. And when people say, oh, I did all this, I'm like, great, go to production and come back to me. So I have people that like, you want to test my product? You want to do this? I'm like, is it in production? No, it's on testnet. I don't care. I don't have time for your testnet shit. Again, sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just like, test it yourself until there's, go ahead.
And how many times have we seen projects come up here and say, look, we historically back tested this for, a year and a half and our numbers are 3,000% yearly. And then they come on and within a week or two, their account's blown because the back test holds no merit in the current market. Markets are changing. And it just, you're right. I think you're right. Back testing it's a huge data point that just is largely unimportant.
Yeah. So, I mean, at some point I would like to have some little, like, you could say whatever as a case study, to be like testing even on those Telegram signals. Cause some of those signals are good. Like they are. And again, as like a trader, not all of those signals are good, but some of them are. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, that's reading. I mean, I programmed and I requested, I was like, yo, we need some stuff in here that I would look at. Right. So like, there is some of our mind share, that is some of our like general, knowledge as actual traders. Cause all of us have been in the industry for many years. Dude, the CEO, not too many people know like Shapeshift. Shapeshift was the OG Uniswap. It's often not the first mover that wins, but the first real like DEX and multi-chain like DEX swap was Shapeshift. People just don't know that because that name's not famous.
But CEO Chad had some sort of relationship there?
Oh yeah, he worked there. Dude, he worked there. Yeah.
That is OG experience. Chill, you got a question or?
No, you guys actually answered it. I've run into so many, and Dom, me and you probably both of us have so many projects before that have said, oh man, back testing, and they've had these great results. But it's just very interesting to hear from your side, Scissor, as far as just kind of like that data just being a little bit biased. I've never thought about it this way. I've always been, approached it, very, I've always viewed it as being sketch. Like, okay, you have all these great data points. Why aren't you using it yourself? Why are you why are you launching a token to back it? Right. So it was very interesting to hear your perspective on that. But I'll give it back to you, Dom.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me, which you mentioned maybe 5-10 minutes ago, was the paid/exclusive market data. Right, we talked about alpha and why this is important. Like, okay, you have the free version, you have alpha, but it's the paid and exclusive stuff that gives you a real edge. I want to talk more about how that ties into the system, and like if the token comes into that, where it's like, hey, if you contribute any exclusive information that leads to, I guess, profit in the market, you get some sort of reward, or how you're looking at that in terms of the paid and exclusive market data that you guys provide.
Well, right now everything's free, so we don't have anything particularly exclusive. We've been in the process of planning like you could say like a pro version of the MCP and kind of all the data endpoints. But like, I'll just give you an example because again, like this information is available to everyone. Just most people don't want to program or don't want to like go get the APIs, which I understand because it can be like a headache. But like if you're trading stocks, especially, right? And you want like some of that actual like insider holding information, or you want to know like what's going on with some of the filings or whatever it might be, right? Options data is pretty exclusive. Options data is a great indicator, at least for stocks, of what might be coming in the next day or two. Sometimes people are like unusual options, right? But you'll never find that data for free because you have to buy it from the broker. You have to either buy it from the broker or you have to go right to the exchange and buy it. That information is just not free. And it typically costs anywhere between like $30 a month, just for like NASDAQ, not New York Stock Exchange. It'd be like $30 for NASDAQ and then another $30 for that. And then if you want like the actual order flow, like where all the volume's happening, where all the buyers and sellers are happening, you're going to pay an extra $30 or $50 for that. So before you know it, you're stacking up a couple $100 just trying to get like options data information. That's just one example, right?
Yeah.
So there's other services out there. So that is something that we're building and will be coming like in the pipeline. But once you paywall, things, and once you have to have all this like account creation, authentication stuff, that takes a bit more time. So we're happy for, to give away what we have for free, like at the moment, because I still don't know of anything that exists that provides it all in one place. And I only build stuff that I'm going to use. That's the other thing I need you guys to know, or whoever is listening. I only build things I will use. If I'm not going to use it, I will not build it. It's just not worth time. And it's not worth like users' time or other people's time.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing these really interesting experiments recently, I think, where people can provide data, like Repo, for example, is another one on Base. I think that's doing a pretty interesting thing where, users can provide data and industry leaders can come in and contribute, and they can either get slashed or paid based on their contributions. There's a whole system around it. When you think about this paid and exclusive alpha that you guys are going to provide at some point, do you think there will be some sort of tokenized system in there, or will it simply just be a paywall thing? If you get what do you get what I'm getting at by that question?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the actual utility, say like of the token, there's basically another component that's being launched that I wouldn't say it's going to directly correlate with the paywall, right? With the pro version. Like, so there might be a thing where like we'll accept payment in that token, but I'd say the data is a bit more exclusive because I want it to be available to all users. Like if we required the token, that takes out like 99% of the world, 99% of any potential customers. But if you're more somebody that's in it for the ecosystem, yeah, there's like the LP USD was like just launched, and there's like an ongoing snapshot. And again, I went and played like a poker game last night. I was like out networking. Yeah, you'll see that. So that full white paper hasn't been launched, but there was a concept that I've been working on for quite a few years, and it was in a different context for a different like company pitch. And I showed the CEO a couple weeks ago, and he kind of was like, Robotether? And I was like, yeah, like agent money, but like, let's make agent money without costing people money, because half of the problem in crypto is they don't follow the freemium model. The same thing. So it goes back to kind of the ethos of like, what's normal business? Like what's a proper product to build? If you can't follow the freemium model, then what's the point of the business? If you have to pay to enter into that ecosystem, again, you're losing 99% of your customer base. So, I don't have the full details that I can like share right now on the LP USD, but like the term that we've shared publicly has been like Robotether. And I'll say it again, like think of freemium. We want like both people as well as agents or whatever to participate and to be able to use and exchange crypto or whatever it might be, not just 402 like whatever gateways, because I think that's kind of like redundant when you could just give an agent a private key and say go be on the blockchain. Like why would I just like have this payment channel only for an agent? Anyways, that's a separate discussion. But you will see that utility with the Root AI token converge with that LP USD, and that'll kind of impact our incubation as well. Because I think the big thing, and that's what sparked some of the banker fire, that was going on, was being able to do like quality control, like incubation, like take care of like, quality people, like actually like have some sort of filter, don't have this sort of like spray and pray mechanism just to like collect volume fees. Like we've seen it happen with Pomp, Clanker, whatever else, right? There'll be a million other launch pads. There was all the DAOs. There was all the, we've seen it all. We've seen it all.
So help me understand this dual token model then. We've seen like in the past, I think largely dual tokens has failed almost completely. Recently, we've seen a few examples of this working a little bit better. But can you talk to me about just like the dynamics of that? You said the Root token and LP USD are going to have some sort of tying together. Are these going to be two separate tokens? Is one going to represent more like a stable / LP side of it, and the other is going to be like kind of give me the relationship here, because we've seen a lot of
Yeah, so the LP USD, so that term like Robotether, think of like it is for agents, or it's meant to be, like I said, it kind of follows the freemium model, right? Like if you want some of the exclusive perks in it, or speculators will always step in, but you don't have to like speculate on it. Like it's not LP USD isn't something that you have to like buy. If that I'll make it as simple as possible.
It's not a speculative token, it's more of just a stable.
Yes. Will people probably speculate on it? Sure. And there's like the VVV and the DM, that's kind of got its own utility mechanism. But you can have a liquidity layer. You can have tokens that are backed. They don't have to be backed by Ethereum. They don't have to be backed by USD. They can be backed by Root AI, if that makes sense, right?
Virtual.
But no. And so many dual token systems, they do fail. And that's why, again, I do not think you should create economic systems that people have to buy into. If you create a system right away that you have to buy into, then you just, you have less visibility. You have less chance of users testing it out. And same thing, if you want to experiment, say with agents having a wallet or agents having a currency, right? Having a Robo Tether, having an LPUSD, like you probably should give them a token that is okay if you lose it, right? That's okay if something goes awry. Kind of like Bitcoin back in the day, right? It was just this free, dumb, nerdy money. There was no value to it except speculative, like perceived value. But you just went to like Bitcoin faucets, or you use like your most like basic PC, right? And you could just mine some Bitcoin. So that's kind of the concept of what LPUSD is. But again, don't buy it. Anybody that is claiming that you can buy it or that it should be sold or whatever, don't listen to them. Don't believe the internet.
Okay. Well, we've been talking about alpha this whole time. Is there anything you give people to chew on for this? Like you said, the white paper's coming. Where can people kind of like pay attention to make sure they're ahead of this next, I guess, chapter of Root AI, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, I would turn on the notifications for the CEO. I mean, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of if you have like a legit question. So like anybody who hits me up, I say like sometimes I can't find you guys or I don't realize that I have like a request, but you can hit me up because I only care about product quality. So that's the other thing. I'm not your marketer, right? Like I can talk, I don't have to be like a nerd, but I only care about product quality. So I can say like there was discussion about a snapshot. And then before I went to bed last night, because again, I was out networking, I was playing at like a big poker game and I hit up the CEO and I was like, hey, I was like, this snapshot, this is alpha. I was like, hey, this snapshot, you didn't give enough of a heads up. I was like, and I want to talk about it and we need to extend it. So the snapshot is extended, by the way. So there is your alpha. I don't know if it's been announced again, but now it's been announced.
So snapshot is extended. If you're holding now, you should get access to this LPUSD when it releases.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yes.
Got you.
And then it'll be probably a 15 to 20 page white paper that'll be coming out. So there will be a very, very detailed paper about the use case of both tokens, about this LPUSD utility. And like I said, this has been like a concept and some things that a few of us have talked over or thought of for quite a few years. So it's not this sort of like vanity, social, whatever attention, right?
Okay.
I got the intern for that already. They know how to start enough fires. We don't need another token to get like attention. So
who's writing the white paper? Is it you in tandem with CEO or?
Yeah, mainly the CEO, but I'm like going to be the math guy again because I'm the quality control, right? So, he's going to have some of the start and maybe some of the business model, but as far as the actual like mathematics or econometrics behind it, I will be like doing the finishing touches on it. So, yeah.
Okay. Kind of going back to the product here. We talked about this data you're aggregating, which is, the crux of the product is can you aggregate the most valuable data and insights? Where are you aggregating this data from?
Like, dude, name it. Everywhere. Polymarket, Google Finance, Yahoo Finance, Hyperliquid perps, right? Regular stock information. Deck screener information. The moment Base MCP came out, we had that launched and deployed in like a couple of hours. We have Base MCP integrated.
So what happens? You have this like large database of different data aggregators that you're pulling from. What's the mechanical difference when obviously I'm texting ChatGPT, give me all the information on these space stocks versus your data, it's kind of trained off of different stuff or however it works. Why does yours have such a significant edge over ChatGPT? Of course, you said this is all public knowledge. This stuff is more gated that you have here, but maybe walk me through a bit more on that.
Yeah. So I kind of touched on it, but like the main thing is that if you just use your LLM, and let's say you're not a programmer, or let's say you don't know how to like leverage the use of APIs, the only thing your LLM can do is do web search. Sure, you can download a CSV, right? You can download some sort of database, but or some other sort of like DB type file, right? But that's all that your LLM has access to. So let's say you're a programmer and you do know how to code and kind of connect and, you know, get like data feeds. Yeah, sure. You can connect to like a couple APIs or one API. The question is, do you have the bandwidth to connect to 5, 10, 20 different APIs? And then do you have the bandwidth to create that software to connect that constant feed? Think of like a water faucet, right? Or like a pipeline, oil pipeline, same thing. Do you have the bandwidth to have that water running the entire time connected with your LLM? That's what we have. We've built the pipeline that the faucet is always on. You don't have to turn it off. You don't have to maintain any servers. You don't have to deal with increasing LLM costs. We provide all of that to you for free. And your LLM does not have to do a web search. Your LLM queries our MCP, which queries all these other data endpoints or API endpoints. And we provide that all at your convenience. Like I said, you can use our website on the app. You can use it in your Claude, but you don't have to do any of the heavy lifting or the vibe coding. Because everyone thinks they can vibe code. Well, go vibe code like 10 APIs. Let me know how that works out.
So who's the target audience here? Are you targeting, you know, myself and Chill, who just want to get a bit of edge on the market? Are you targeting people that are looking to build, you know, full tech stacks on top of you guys, and you guys are maybe the data layer for those trading algorithms or trading agent or like whatever it might be? Like, who's the target audience here?
Yeah, the target audience, to be honest, is like kind of everyone, but it's geared towards, say, new participants. Like, say you're a new trader or you're just like kind of new to programming. It is geared towards that, but the quality in mine is actually geared towards more of it's called like pro retail, or what you would call a professional, you know, trader. It is more for that, but I've made it so that, again, it's accessible. If I always say, is it grandma proof? Right? Can grandma, who just started learning what an LLM was like a year ago, what AI is, can grandma open up Claude app and test around and see if she can get like some stock information? Not that she would care, but that's how easy it is. Like, it is grandma proof, but it's definitely more geared towards those sort of professional traders or like aspiring traders. I started when I was like 12. My grandfather gave me this investing book and he was like, learn this or read this and I'll show you how to buy stocks. And I read the book. I read the whole book. It took me probably a couple.
Do you remember what the name of the book was?
No, but I mean, dude, this is like 18 years ago or so, right? Like 19 years ago, I forget. Some sort of like fat, you know, all-encompassing, like how to invest, what are dividends, how to have $1 million by the time you get to retirement, 401k. It covered like a grand spectrum of like finance and kind of managing your money, which would probably be outdated for
much
now.
More value investing focused rather than growth.
Yeah, for sure. Like quite safe and stuff. But, you know, you have to start somewhere. You don't know if you want to become a trader, right? Or an investor as well. Like, some people just want to hodl and buy stuff and not trade like daily or monthly or whatever, but just wait a couple years. So it's for any age. It's for grandma, and it's for the 10-year-old or the 15-year-old that like thinks that investing is cool, right? Or sees all these cool things on the internet and wants to be the next, you know, Jordan Belfort.
So, quick question on that. You mentioned Protail. I actually first discovered the word Protail maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's definitely been an expanding demographic. What do you feel like the future is for Protail? I mean, we have so many ways to speculate now, just as an average consumer. Is that growing in the future?
I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's going to get massive, because it's so accessible. You used to have to actually be like 18, right? Or you had to have like some sort of like finance savvy family, right? That would like teach their kids about this stuff and set up like a sub broker account, right? Like, oh, you know, my dad gave me whatever, $1,000 or $10,000, you know? But now you can go play on blockchain. That's how some of these kids get super rich, right? It's free to play, and, you know, they get like $100 of Ethereum or Solana. The next thing you know, they're making like tens of thousands of dollars. They're in like high school. So no, and then you got Polymarket as well, and whatever. You got all these other prediction markets. So I think it's just going to get larger and larger and larger. And I think it's still going to be one of the hardest career paths. And I would tell most people not to do it because it is so stressful. And sometimes I don't like it either, but it's so lucrative. It is so lucrative. that it actually can change your life, right? And sometimes it's the people that don't have that much opportunity, which is where retail investing and retail trading can change your life, whether you're in America or whether you're in some other country.
How do you see this playing out in real time? I think we're seeing a lot of this convergence between like gambling and investing or trading, whatever you want to call it. And they're like, it's almost starting to become indecipherable what you're doing if you're gambling or investing. And I think we're getting into more of that culture. Do you think we just continue down that path with Robinhood, with the ease of access, with these prediction markets? Like, at what point does it just fully converge into like, there's a lot of people really just gambling on here? Are we already there? Like, where are we going in a year from now?
I think we're already there. I think part of that is actually like a really bad like economic result of just like hyperinflation, because when a currency is devaluing, it makes everything look like it's going up, but really it's not. It's just that the dollar isn't that like valuable anymore. So of course assets have to go higher. So it creates this gambling culture, because if you don't gamble, you're not going to beat inflation, right? And like if you're trying to break out of your like socioeconomic class, like you have to take risk. Even when you're younger, you don't have to do some of the stuff that we've done in crypto, but you have to risk it for the biscuit. you gotta risk.
Legitimately.
So yeah, I don't know. I hate it, to be honest. I wish people didn't have to do this. I wish I didn't have to. I wish the culture was a bit slower all around in investing, but like there's really no option. And will the cards come tumbling down? Yes. Do I know when? I have no idea, but when it crashes, it's gonna be terrible.
Terrible.
It's going to be terrible. Do you think I'm going to be ready? You think I'm so smart and with whatever I can program? You think I know when like the market's going to crash and when I can short the top? I have no idea. Nobody has an idea.
Yeah, I could not agree more. This frothy nature of the market just feels like any moment it could go. I want to go back to this ecosystem, and we talk about the prosumer and who you're focusing on here. And we're kind of coming off the back of this like relationship between you and Banker falling out, or I should say Root and Banker falling out, and how like these launch pads are pretty much extractive by nature. And so I think about, okay, well, maybe you guys are going to build an ecosystem and help incubate and accelerate some of the projects building on top of your data layer, as you can call it. So there are kind of levels to it. Like, yes, you target the prosumer, but you also mentioned we target everyone else. How are these conversations going with people that are maybe looking to build on your data tech stack or data pipeline here and integrate you guys as like an underlying tech provider, infrastructure provider? How are those conversations going? How do you see that kind of unraveling in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know of, I want to say 2 or 3, but maybe it's just 2. There already are 2 that are directly using us. The one was just using us for like Polymarket data. And they were like, hey, how much Polymarket data can we get? Like, what are your limits? I was like, I don't know what our limits are. Nobody's ever like tapped out, or we've never gotten rate limited on Polymarket data. But I was like, why don't you go test it out and let me know, and then we'll figure out something if like the rate limit becomes a problem. So there's somebody doing that. Yeah, there are some, you could say like the more specialized, right? I think somebody else was doing something that was primarily just like on base. So they were kind of leveraging like our base MCP, and I don't know why my camera just went out. That's crazy. Leveraging our base MCP and like the deck screener API. So yeah, we've got a couple people that tends to be the niche, which is why it's great to kind of be this unified service. So you can, and people have made requests like, hey, can you add this thing? Can you add this data thing that's like not available? And I'm like, well, maybe like some of the documentation, we'll see how long it takes to like integrate that. So yeah, on the builder side, there's quite a few people. And then some of the conversations as far as more of the incubation side, they don't need to leverage, let's say like our tech stack, but we do have a good, we have a good filter for like, what's a quality protocol and like what's quality product. And again, something that the CEO is great at. And then obviously I have really high standards. So I'm going to know if you're like a great up and coming talent, regardless of your age. But obviously if you're young, like you should hit us up. Like there was somebody I was talking to this morning. He's like, hey, can you like go read up on me? I was like, I'm not going to read up on you, but you can text me right now about it. Like you got me while I'm drinking my coffee right in the DMs. So just like fire away, like tell me. But yeah. So we've got like a huge, process with that. And then with how the virtuals conversation went, we're going to be leveraging them as well. So there's like just a little bit, more alpha. They're going to kind of be our bigger partner. And then we're going to help elevate, some of these smaller quality people, quality teams.
Yeah, I think that seems to be a really good strategy for people like Hyperliquid or even Collector Crypt is doing this recently, where they have this white labeled product or this infrastructure, and they kind of just go and integrate in the back end to a load of different products, and people are unknowingly using their tech stack on the back end. And it seems to be a very profitable strategy if done right, and you can obviously build those relationships. I think that kind of brings us to like your go-to-market strategy here. As you roll this out to the prosumers, as you roll this out to people maybe building on your infrastructure, what does that go-to-market strategy look like? How do you take this from, the level you're at today to 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 times beyond where we currently sit at?
That's a good question, because the way things have happened, they weren't totally like you think we planned a token? Because we didn't, right? I don't know if you guys know that. Somebody else launched it. I genuinely do not know. Just like yesterday, just like when I showed up and LPUSD is live, I'm like, guys, how is it that I always miss this gap of stuff that has happened? So go to market, you could say here's what we did. The CEO, I think he did about, I haven't gotten the new numbers, in about 2.5 weeks, he did about 2.5 million impressions. The last screenshot I had was a flat 2 mil of impressions he did. So that was sometime last week when he sent that to me. So maybe he hit 3 mil. So I guess the surprise of the token kind of was the initial go-to-market strategy that kind of made a bang, right? Caught your guys' attention, or some other, protocols that have reached out to us. But as far as actually, you could say the more mature approach, it's really to partner with these bigger, and part of, I think, what remote culture, remote working, or these online thing is, people forget that you got to show up and do things in person. So the CEO, he's in New York City. He's going to be there for the next 2 months. So if anybody's in New York City or wants to get a hold of him, hit him up or hit me up, and we'll connect you guys. But at the end of the day, you have to do real business. You don't get to just be this internet personality. Even I'm the only one with my face. You think I was prepared for a token to go live and my face is on my Telegram, or my face is on my Twitter? No, there was no game plan. Nobody asked me, but I was just all right, we'll just run with it. Trust the process. So you guys got to claim your fee, bro. This wasn't a launch that you guys had planned out. People said, so what happened? They found, some of your thesis pieces or write-ups or what, and just launched a token for you guys and said, hey, people support this, claim your fees, and we're going to run with it. Yeah, because that's how Banker worked. You could just tag, you could just tag any X account. And I didn't know what Banker was. I didn't know how Banker operated. I was just dude, what is Banker? Well, I was kind of cynical. I was another launchpad. What are we doing here? But yeah. And there was some profile that just did it and just tagged the root_edge X account. And then that's kind of how the whole thing snowballed. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Prior to that, it was me and the other developer and the other guy, and we were just making phone calls, and we were just working on the MCP. We were doing all this back end development, handling a migration process. There was nothing. There was no tokenomic discussion. There was nothing. And I mean, crypto's been kind of toxic, so I've been a fan of the best protocols or the best companies in crypto often don't have a token, like FAM, like MetaMask, like Coinbase, or Base Chain, right? Some of these other exchanges. So I'm well, let's not have a token, right? That was my ethos. And here it is. Well, then stepping back, and your ethos, I think, aligns with a lot of what we believe too. And I mean, there's countless examples. But stepping back now, you do have a token. Someone launches for you guys have kind of adopted this thing. What has been the pros and cons to it? Because on one side you said CEO, and CEO's got 2 million plus impressions, right? So bootstrap distribution is certainly something that's happening for you guys right now. What are the pros and cons that you're seeing with this, I guess, method of going to market, if you will? Yeah. I mean, I think I listed most of the cons, and there's always extra stress, or people ask questions about hey, what's up with the token? And I'm hey, I am trying to build a good product. Why don't you ask me questions about that? But I mean, on the pro side, it's a great marketing vehicle, right? And if people want to again, it goes back to that betting mentality, that risk mentality. So if you're bullish on a team or a group of people, then some people will just kind of buy into it and support us. And I think we have a handful of early supporters, and most of those communications, again, they happen with the CEO, but it prompts a lot of conversation, right? It prompts people to kind of want to do a little due diligence and be yeah, are you guys legit? Like, what is this token? Like, there's, you know, like 100 tokens a day launched on Banker. Like, are you guys like actually legit? So it's helped in that regards, right? And it's definitely helped with the impressions and the marketability. So I'm not going to complain, really. Like, it's just the cost of doing business. When you've been in this industry, I've seen everything, dude. This is a token. You think I'm sweating over a token? Dude, people were buying apes. How much are people buying apes for? Like 100,000, like $250,000? Like, come on. Like, send it. I don't care, right? Send it to the moon.
There we go.
So I guess so. We've I guess these coins are now called the Please Bros coins, right? Like these community members that launch a token and they do it for you. Now, has it helped development wise? Has it? I mean, we see what it's done like on the marketing side and being able to push get your product out in front of new users and others. So it's helped with visibility. Has it helped with funding?
Has it helped with funding?
Yeah, like have you guys? I know that you guys get you guys get a kickback from volume and all that stuff.
Yeah. Like disposable cash. Yeah, it has helped with a little bit. It has. I'll be honest. Like, if you run a company and you start a company, it's like, no. Has it like moved the needle significantly? No, but it's done enough to kind of make the time worth it. So like the CEO burned, dude. Like one of the top holders is like the burn wallet because he burned like 1.4%. And then he locked like another 3 or 4% up in some other like sort of I don't know, some sort of locked like super fluid like stream contract or something kind of unique as well. But yeah, it's provided a little bit, right? Like, let's do this upgrade. Let's get access to these like expensive APIs. Let's go buy, like 2 domains. Like we own also this other one, like root.finance. That was like an exclusive domain, not like super exclusive, but you know what I mean? But yeah. So like it's helped a little bit for sure. But it's not like if you look at the top traders, I don't know who those top traders are. Like, you can always go to any token, check the top traders. Like somebody made out like a bandit or a couple wallets, right? You never know. They made out like a good bandit. Right. So those people are happy, I bet.
I guess that's the thing I'm trying to understand or get a sense of from the builder perspective is, are these Please Bros tokens, are they a net positive or is it just like kind of not really needed? Like we've seen this kind of go down the bad, take the bad path as far as, we saw what happened with Surplus, for example. So I'm just trying to figure out, are these types of tokens good for builders from a builder perspective?
They're good if you want to bootstrap, I say. Yeah, I'd say they're 100% good. Again, like we're in this culture of gamble, of take risks. So like, it's always a bad idea until it works out great. And then you're a genius, right? You're a genius for making that gamble, or you're a genius for being the builder that like did something that like 99% of people fail at. So it's a double-edged sword, to be honest. It's an upward battle. You're swimming upstream. It's an extremely difficult battle, but if you do it properly, then like everyone's gonna be like, yeah, these guys were smart, made sense the whole time.
Palmadizi has a question here too, I guess, on this token launch topic. He said, if Root didn't have a Root AI token in the first place, would Root have unlocked or have launched the LPUSD token? Obviously, this is something you're talking about with the white paper coming out and more info on this soon, but it's a good question. Would you guys have still gone with the LPUSD token despite?
Yeah. I think we still might have, but I don't know how fast we would have been moving because it was more just like an idea and we would have been like think tanking it for a while. But I don't know. Like I had brought it up fairly early because again, I had like a 2-year pitch deck and like economic model I've been working on. So we kind of like just took like one little layer. So that's where the LPUSD idea was born. But I think, sometimes people or teams or companies, they go through like paralysis by analysis, right? So maybe we would have spent like 2 or 3 months talking about it, right? Do we launch a token? Do we not launch a token? Right. If we launch a token, how do we launch it? You know what I mean? So, because of Root AI, that's why LPUSD exists, though, to answer your question, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Let's kind of pivot, I guess, into the last segment of this, which is just like roadmap and what comes next. I think to really understand the full vision of this and where you guys are headed and how big can this get, we really need to understand the TAM. And you, I think, would be best to describe here. can you walk me through the total addressable market here? How big is this market you guys are looking to address? Let's say you did meaningfully take a chunk out of it. What would that look like? Help give us that full understanding and perspective.
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer. So I'm going to try my best. Well,
worst comes to worst, just make up a bunch of numbers and facts, and we'll just take it at face value.
Oh, no, I know. Well, for one, and this is something that I've argued internally, like with the team too, because I'm like, listen, like AI is a bigger commoditized like technology than crypto. Like, just to be clear, right? So crypto is just such a small little like segment, even of like traditional finance, right? And any sort of trading. Like crypto is still just so tiny. It's its own niche. So I think bigger. I think traditional finance. I think LLMs, right? So to me, I don't really know what the TAM is, and that's probably just because we haven't researched it. I haven't researched it, and we're still in this area because like that's kind of how it is in tech and even in crypto or just like AI. You're in this constant process where you have to pivot. So you're always going through research and development, literally the whole time. And you're trying to be a modular business. You're trying to have some sort of modular technology, because the moment a new model comes out, boom, you need to adopt that new model. The moment something new in crypto comes out, right? Like a new concept or just some sort of protocol that like surprises people, you kind of have to adapt. Like the business is built on forking and or open source. Not everything is open source, but everyone kind of forks each other's idea. And that's just part of what LLMs do, is they make it easier and easier to kind of like reverse engineer an idea, right? You don't even need now like to have access to like code or have access to any sort of like repo or anything. Just the idea can be enough, with enough discussion and enough planning, that you can reverse engineer that idea and then program it or fork it and retrofit it to whatever your business model is. So we're going through that process the whole time. But for me, I've been in this industry for so long, and just in general tech and investing, I'm coming for the biggest piece of the pie as possible, right? Because like, one, I want to make a name for myself, like a bigger name. And two, like it'd be nice to take a break. You know what I mean? Do you know how many people have survived 10 years in crypto? Very few. Like most people get burned out, or they give up, or they gamble and lose all of their money, and who knows what happens. You really got to like love the game.
Rare breed.
Yeah, you really have to love the game. You gotta be like Kobe, you gotta be like LeBron, you gotta be like Michael Jordan, whoever, right? You have to like literally want to get out of bed and do this every day and not think about the numbers all the time or think about your bank account. So like I'm going though for traditional finance markets, and that's how large. Like if you consider the derivatives markets of the traditional finance, if you consider the futures, if you consider the options markets, it's in like the quadrillions. Like, that's how much money. That's how much money is just tied up in derivatives. So like to me, any piece that a respectable firm, fund, family office, whatever, pro trader, any form of next generation, like algorithmic trading or agentic, I mean like real top high IQ agentic trading, that's who I'm going after. That's the person, that's the group of people that we really want to serve, or how we want to like really sell and bootstrap a business. And it's part of the joke is like, F the VCs, we don't need the VCs, but like, come on, like, listen, we're joking here, right? Because if you're going to be a real business and you're going to survive, you got to do a raise at some point. You got to do a Series A. You got to scale. I don't know what the path will go, because again, you have to be modular, but everything is converging. So let's just say finance plus AI plus fintech. So whatever your TAM is, we're going for a fraction of all three of those things combined.
No, gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about funding real quick. You mentioned, hey, it's fun to say, forget the VCs. We don't want anything to do with them. They're scammy. They're shady. New industry, DeFi is all the way, whatever. Are you guys seeking ongoing funding, future funding, or have you guys thought about that, have that conversation internally?
We've just talked about it internally. I can't say there's a huge effort at the moment, because we just kind of wanted to play it natural and see. Also, like strategically, the more like marketing interactions, whatever, right? Holders, valuation, the more your tech is kind of developed, you retain users, you naturally have a higher valuation. So we've only discussed it internally. Maybe we've outlined a little bit of like kind of a pitch deck, but at the moment we haven't like made any jumps or done any like massive reach out. But those like conversations, like we're open to having those conversations. That's the best way to say it. And
Sure.
ultimately at some point, like we'll probably get to that point. Again, sometimes you become a unicorn or you go massively viral and you don't need it, but you have to survive in this industry, because if you don't survive in this industry, somebody else will out engineer you. So hit us up if you're interested.
On that note, we've had a lot of conversations kind of discussing, tokens tied to equities, whether that's like an SPV that holds the equity of a company and the tokens act as a DAO, token holders act as a DAO to, control that entity, whether there's a liquidity event, and distributing profits, whatever. Or we have direct, like the ACE model that Pump Fund and Baton or Pump Fund and MetalX are doing, where, you can convert tokens to safe agreements, whatever. We're seeing a lot of conversation around tokenized equities. If you guys do go and raise a future round, and you have these supporters and early believers in there, would they see the upside on that? And how do you think about tokenized equity?
Yeah, I've actually thought about that quite a bit myself, not like internally with the team, but over the last few years, I've always thought about, and of course, like regulation's a little bit easier to navigate now, but I've always been like, why don't people just tokenize equity? Why not just make equity liquid? Because like you're already trying to plan a liquidity event anyways, even if you're like Coinbase Ventures, right? And they back they normally want your equity and they want your tokens of your protocol no matter what. So it's like, why overcomplicate it? Just combine both and literally tokenize the equity. I think the only thing that holds people up or companies from that, it's literally the legal ambiguity or the legal risk. Because if you tokenize equity, it's considered a security. It's verbatim considered a security. You're better off not tokenizing your equity, having a protocol or company token, and then having actual equity shares that you just like sell. So I don't know how to navigate that, or how we would navigate like tokenized equity. Like obviously in my head, in an ideal world, it would be great. Yeah. But again, like there's too much hubris to think that it's like, oh, you don't need to like follow the rules, like Pump Fund was like an anomaly. Pump Fund was a massive anomaly, and they're able to get away with like the wildest like ICO and then, be worth whatever they're worth. Right. Billions and billions.
Yeah, so. No, I guess just comes back to that age old question we see time and time again. These good companies go and get acquired by Coinbase or something. And then moments later, Coinbase says, hey, or not Coinbase, the company says, hey, we're discontinuing the token. We've been acquired by Coinbase. And the believers are like, hey, like we saw this vision. We believed in it. This is great. This is exactly what we wanted. But we're left holding the bag with absolutely nothing. Yet the equity is still valuable. I think that's what it kind of comes back to ultimately. And, that's the conversation we like to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good point. I think where the token will never disappear is the fact that there is like an economic like liquidity system with the LP USD. So, and because DeFi is not going away, right? Like on-chain finance is not going away. So I can at least say like from that perspective, like everything going forward will be needed, because even though I might be like somebody who's focused more on just general traditional finance or financial engineering, the other half of the company and the brand is still like on-chain agents, right? It's on-chain intelligence. It's, whatever, trying to expand and provide some sort of whatever, both I guess traditional as well as like on-chain intelligence. So the LP USD, again, that's like a 2-year like passion project for me and a concept that's coming to life. So I can say for certain that that's not disappearing, at least.
Got you. Hey, this is a good conversation. We don't want to keep you too long, so we're gonna just end here with the roadmap. Put a bow on it for us. Give the people something to chew on. What kind of comes next that you guys are thinking of? What are you most excited about? Give us like the next 2 to 3 month vision plan.
Yeah. So I mean, likely in the next, realistically, because you never know how long development takes, but in the next 2 to 3 months, you can definitely expect like probably a pro MCP. So like whatever you get out of the MCP right now, expect like 2 to 3 times more and better. And just like, there's so much that'll like be refactored just for the pro version. Again, the CEO is up in New York City for the next 2 months. So who knows, what will happen up there, or who he's talking to, and maybe how like the virtuals like relationship will manifest. And then I'd say in the next 30 days, you can probably expect, could even be a next week or 2, you can expect at least 1 or 2 like incubations or incubes that we'll have like kind of under our wing. and will be announced. Again, we haven't like decided on any, so I'm not saying like they're ready, but you got to move fast in this industry, so you can kind of expect that in the next 30 days. And then whenever the white paper comes out, I think the white paper should be coming out, I don't know, end of the week or by next Monday would be my hopes. So that'll have a lot more like kind of information, which obviously the roadmap naturally or product, you know, will just, you'll see kind of the game plan there. So I can tell you one, like nobody's sleeping. Nobody's sleeping.
Terminally online.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot going on. But yeah, incubation, whatever, you know, works out with virtuals on the back end or front end facing partnership, pro MCP version, and then some other announcements will come out as well.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Over the time we've had this show, I think we've kind of walked back the roadmap question a bit to where it's like, you know, what's the 1 to 2 year outlook to like, oh my gosh, AI has gotten so advanced and everything is moving so rapidly. Like, you really can't give a good-hearted answer on what's going to even happen 3 months down the road because we are moving so fast. And like 1 to 2 weeks in direct, I guess, goals is like the best way to look at it. So I want to talk about those incumbents that you mentioned. You know, you said you have incubees coming in, you're going to incubate, accelerate their projects. What's the extent of that? How are you guys like profiting from this? I guess we didn't even ask about your economics of the company. You're looking to do the pro plan here, but maybe talk me through the economics and then how the incubations are going to look. Are you getting a piece of these companies? Is it a joint venture? Like, where do the economics tie into this for it to make sense for you guys?
Yeah. So like Banker is a fork of Banker forked Clanker.
Right.
And then I think my dev yesterday forked a Clanker again.
Clanker's been forked a million times.
Yeah. So there'll be some sort of fees that way that'll be coming in, which to be honest, again, in the grand scheme of things, like I think Chill, you were asking, it's quite insignificant. Like any of the fees, even that we bring in personally, like just from Root AI, that's not like a lot of income. But in the beginning, assuming it's mainly like DeFi or, you know, token-based protocols, it'll be like that. I don't expect there to be any equity discussions, at least not in the beginning, unless we'll get to the point where we're ready to be like a true full-blown incubator, right? And then that's where the LP USD kind of comes in as well, because that'll I'm trying not to spill out.
You might as well just tell us exactly what it does, right? I don't mean to.
Yeah. But again, like let's imagine this like robo tether, everyone's using AI, and then also we have these protocols that we incubate. You think they're not going to get like LP USD? You know what I mean? You think we're not going to build out an ecosystem, or you know what I mean? So like again, you can kind of imagine. Let's not even call it an ecosystem. Let's call it a liquidity system. That's just food for thought. I'm going to let you guys think on that. But yeah, like imagine a liquidity system. Like, you know, that's basically where LP USD comes in to play. And then like real revenue, I think again, that's where the research and development process comes in, because I don't even know what to charge the pro MCP, right? I'm like, is it $20? Is it $50? Is it, you know, can you get away with $100? I have no idea. Like, does it need to have different tiers or usage limitations to it? You know, you don't know what the market wants, because AI can be cheap if you know how to use it. You want to know what my budget is? I have a $20 GPT Codex and I have a $20 Claude and Code Claude. That's all I use.
Really?
I don't max out my stuff. I'm a very efficient programmer. I don't know how people max it out, unless you're just like, I don't want to learn how to program. I'm just going to type stuff and it's going to build it for me. You will max out your tokens that way. But I promise you, if you take a little bit of time to learn or have a very like in-depth discussion, you can really be efficient with your usage. So I don't know where the money is yet. We're gonna find it. I'm gonna find it for sure, right? And it might just be that B2B partnership. Sometimes B2B customers is actually where you make most of the money. Oh, yeah. The retail money helps get you in the door, or, you know, gives you a little bit of runway, but it's when you need a custom build out or an enterprise integration. And then it's like, okay, you know, $10,000 a year, right? So likely that'll be where a majority of the income is. It's going to be like, for me, hopefully at the fund level or the enterprise level.
So very, very much so, you know, the Uber playbook or whatever you want to call it, where you're just building the best product here and we'll figure out, you know, revenue and income when we need to. But right now we're solely focused on just building out a great product, and that'll all come with it. Is I think kind of maybe your mantra here.
Yeah. I mean, trust me. Do I want like the company to make $1 million tomorrow? I would love that. I would love that.
Not against that. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, it looks like you did shave for us, so we appreciate it. I saw a clip of you, man. You were growing it out.
Dude, I've had a beard for 5 years, and then last week I'd been thinking about it for a month, and then last week I was like, let's go shave it, and I just immediately just electric buzzer just shaved it all off. So it's staying like that. I'm sorry, the beard's not coming back.
There you go. All right. Hey, it was a pleasure, Scissor. I think we covered it all. Had an interesting conversation on just like so many things. So best of luck to you guys. We're gonna be having our popcorn out, watching this banker back and forth and seeing what comes of that. Seems like you guys already have a good relationship with Virtual. So nonetheless, pleasure talking to you.
Hey, I had a ton of fun. I appreciate all the questions. Happy to talk sometime in the future.
All right, there you go. Best of luck. See you, bud.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
What a Chad. What a Chad. Good dude. I love the vibe of today's stream. And I think just the vibe of that we had prior to the interview, just kind of going through the drama between them and Banker. And
funny.
I think he came in and he wasn't too serious. He wasn't too, but like you can tell he's passionate about what he's building. He enjoys the journey of it. And he's not, he's as determined as he is to make things work. He's not taking himself too seriously. So I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that interview. I think they are actually onto something. That what was it? I don't know if we'll call it a terminal or what have you, where you can kind of build out your signals. I think that's actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, rather than building their own proprietary model off of it, which I think we've seen. I mean, dude, how many times have we had proprietary models come on the show and again give us those back testing metrics, and we watch them, and 2 weeks later they've blown their account. So I think I'd much rather see a platform that actually is selling the picks and shovels, giving the infrastructure, and saying you guys do whatever you want with it. We're not building an algorithm. Maybe one day we collect enough data to where we have like a really good feasible algorithm to offer people, and maybe that's part of the offering. But I like how they're not taking that approach. Rather, they're taking the look, white label our product, get this enterprise data. Same thing you see people paying $15,000 for Bloomberg for, right? So same idea there. Questions, I think it just become, how quickly can we get to revenue generating, and how quickly can the token start seeing some of that upside? So I think waiting for the white paper release on LPUSD is going to be giving a little more clarity. It seems like that's what it kept coming back to today. So I guess biggest takeaways. This was a conversation about edge and alpha, and I guess the best edge you can have in this one is just watching the Twitter for that white paper, and I guess keeping a close eye on it. Like, do we start getting these enterprise contracts in place? What does that pro subscription look like? This new white paper that's coming out. That's, I think, my biggest takeaway. So yeah.
Question for you. There's definitely exceptions to this rule, but do you feel like the Please Bros tokens, are those a net positive or a net negative or somewhere in between?
On Solana, they've been so far like a completely net negative. Solana completely
100%.
net negative. Base is interesting though, because Base is more into these experiments. Their holder base is less toxic. And so I think in some cases they've actually been pretty successful. But I would imagine the great majority of these, if you go into a year into the future, right? And of course, we always talk about how hindsight's 2020. But if you go out a year into the future, I would say 90% of these will probably have been abandoned. Now, that's also the nature of startups, right? Many startups just fail, which is fine. But the Please Bro, the issue with the Please Bro thing is these guys claim their fees. They made all this money. They're tired of this toxicity. And it's very easy for them just to leave. And that's what we end up seeing happening. Even if the product continues to get built, whatever, they go and farm, make 10, 50, $100,000+ from these fees and just abandon it. There's no legal contracts on the back end that they have to sign. They're not going to have someone like Bedrock come after them if they go and abandon the project and they're acting in bad faith. So the door is open for a lot of bad faith actors, if you will. But on Base, it's definitely been more successful than Solana in terms of longevity. I think yes, we probably see some really great companies come out of this. Maybe a unicorn comes out of it, like eventually. I think for every really great company that comes out of it, you're going to have a lot of really bad companies that don't have great intentions for the token holders. So I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to look for those high signal founders that are going to come on the show, be open and honest, have a good idea for the token, maybe even look into some legal framework like an equity structure, via like a Bedrock or Ace Round or a Street. SPV, structure, right? So I don't know. It becomes more and more important to separate the wheat from the chaff. And yes, I think there are going to be few and far good cases in between. But while you get those good cases, you're going to have to go through a lot of shit to get to the gem. I think is all I'm going to have to say to that.
Yeah, definitely.
On that.
I guess it's a combination from everything I'm gathering. It's a combination of the holder base and, not just focus on a quick flip, but really focusing on supporting a team and supporting them in their efforts. So there's that side to it. But I think the other part of the equation is that, what is the point of the token? Like a lot of times it just kind of brings us back to the same question that we had when the Believe ecosystem was hot. It's like, all right, like you have this killer. I go back to that primary care office, that healthcare solution that was built, and I forget what the name was.
There's so many. There's that. He had these contracts set up. There's Orgo that's doing $500,000 to $1 million annualized revenue. There's Dupe. There's Fitcoin, Fitted, Closet. Like all these are great companies actually doing real revenue, but for what? I mean, again, we still have a separation between equity and token, and we're seeing these cool experiments like Venice, like Hyperliquid, like Pod, where it's like there is no equity in token, there is just a token. But if you are having a discrimination between equity and token, and you're going to sell equity on the back end and trying to figure out a use case for this token, like we need to see some sort of alignment there, or else you get left with that conversation we keep coming back to, where it's like, okay, great company, does great revenue, gets acquired, has a liquidity event, but token holders get left abandoned, right? So, yeah, smart practice?
Yeah, Daddy does. Right? Yeah, man. Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, that was like you mentioned, so many good examples. Like, and that was one that stood out to me because I'm genuinely really bullish on a lot of these companies, but. I think Game put out a tweet just the other day that said it well. He said, as long as there's equity, tokens will always be a second-class citizen, right? And I think it's just we're really trying our best to bridge these two worlds. I think MetaDAO has done a really great job in just creating the crypto native solution. I think that's going to be really powerful. I think that ecosystem is at some point will do well. But for everyone trying to bridge the gap between equity and token, I think Ace has done something really important. But how do you get all these base projects? Because look, if all these base projects, instead of like coming up with some fancy utility that creates more friction with your product, instead of doing that, just, hey, let's do an Ace round. Imagine if every Police Bros token could do that.
That's right. Well, that's what I've been saying. This is the easiest thing for a banker and Bags to do. Now, again, the issue with banker and Bags doing this is that they're going to lose out a lot of that volume from people launching that are bad actors, right? The honest truth about this, and even Pump Fund, even Meteor, everyone benefits from bad actors, these launchpads, I should say, because they're coming on, launching tokens, they gain volume, and these protocols benefit from that volume. And when they rug, you can come out and say, do your own research, man, this sucks. And I'm not blaming it on the launchpads, but that's why you're not going to see these launch pads just by nature integrate like something like Ace or an equity structure, because if people have to physically sign over, IP or physically sign over equity or, put their actual name on this, there's going to be a lot more friction. That means less money for these launch pads. So it's unlikely we see that. But yeah, I mean,
look, to your point, I don't know if you guys follow this account, Confessions. I really love it. I add some color to my timeline and some perspective. One confession came in. I created over 1,200 meme coins in 40 days. The reality is whoever's doing this, Pump Fund is benefiting from all of this activity. I have somebody in my DMs just last night. Hey, chill. We're trying to get a token finally to cross 1 million. We've launched one. It went 20x. And yeah, bro, it's like, oh my gosh, it's deep bear market. People are still doing this. And here's the kicker. I don't know who this guy is, but I love his comment. The real confession is I probably bought at least 40 of them. So, yeah, to your point, these launch pads, they benefit from all this like scammy activity. And in all honesty, it makes crypto like a harder place to build in some ways, because it creates a lot of noise, but really what it does, it just makes a bad name for our space. I was just talking to friend of mine, he owns his own cybersecurity firm like that. He's been operating for like 25 years. Jeez. He's known about Bitcoin since 2012, 2013. Like he's very familiar with our space, but he does not want to operate in our space or invest in our space because of all of the scammy stuff. And I can only imagine how many people that, either A, only invest in Bitcoin, or B, don't invest in our space at all because they think it's all just a sham. And over these last few cycles, we've definitely made a bad name for ourselves. But I think, the pump funification of the space has really allowed, anyone to launch a token. And when you give, I don't know, when you say, hey, when you say to the entire world, hey, anyone, you can have this gun off me right now. How many people would shoot somebody else? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, without any dude, I'm being dead serious. If anyone could have access to a gun right now, how much crime would be committed? The amount of crime would go absolutely insane. Yo, top bumper. Look,
what a comparison.
What a comparison. But the point is anyone can launch a token. The barrier to entry is so low, anybody can do it. And the reality is not most people aren't going to be responsible in that way. They're going to commit crime. Period.
Well, especially when their face isn't attached to it, right? If you gave everybody a gun and they could do whatever they wanted with it, they're still going to have repercussions to that. There's no repercussions in crypto. You can go launch 1,200 meme coins and farm them and use a bunch of buzzwords and, LARP as somebody else. There's no repercussions. I mean, in theory, there is if you're an idiot and you get caught. But with the gun comparison, if someone goes and shoots somebody, I would like to think the majority of people, if you give them a gun, will not commit a crime. Okay. Because of the repercussions attached to it. I think there's a lot of people you said, hey, you can make $1,000, but you're probably going to hurt, a few people for $100, $200 a pop. If you do this, they're probably taking that back to back to back to back. And by the way, you're going to have no repercussions. Now, that's not the reality of things necessarily, but I think, that's the truth is a lot of people would take that and we see it.
Yeah, I would edit the example. I'd say, what if you could what if anyone could have a gun with zero repercussions, right? Like now that kind of you now
we got a movie about this.
Now we understand. Okay.
But nonetheless, I think to kind of cap this off, Pixel had a comment. Base has become much less attractive to me. Feels like it's going in the wrong direction compared to Solana with the Ace round. I do think Solana's got a ton of sleepers. Like I'm really convinced that positioning in Solana right now is probably smart. I will say though, I think Solana and Base are very different in terms of what products come out of it. I actually think a lot of the Base protocols don't really fit an equity standard. Like we have Repo, we have Litecoin, we have some of these, come on, and I think they're more experimental, and I think Base is much more experimental than Solana in this nature. And I think a lot of these actually don't fit the equity model. Like they actually have to have tokenomics that are unique or different or experimental. Just like we have what's it called? Fraud token on or whatever, crime fraud. I forget the name of that thing, but they would never do an equity model because it just doesn't make sense.
Fraudsworth?
Right, Fraudsworth, right? And I think we're seeing a lot of more experiments like that on Base. So I think it's less applicable to Base projects, but I do, however, think there are a few that it's very applicable to, and these companies like Banker, like Virtuals, like Clanker, like whoever should go and kind of push their top projects that it makes sense for to do some sort of equity structure. So
yeah, 100%. 100%. Still some great projects with solid fundamentals on Base, of course, but the Please Bros are exhausting. No, definitely. I think I'm really the one for me is like I'm really just picky about like the projects that I'm not heavy on Base at all. I have like just a few that I'm really interested. Obviously, Repo is one of them. That's a long time one on the show that we've covered. Anyone can launch a meme coin. What if you give everyone a gun? Oh my gosh, with no repercussions. But agreed with you though, Crypto Jones. Yeah, I mean, it's no different than walking. You're walking down the worst block in the neighborhood, and you know somebody pulls up on you with a gun, and you pull your gun out too, and you're like, yo, what's up? We can both die.
Oh, what is this guy talking about, dude? We can both die right now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not give Chill
right.
a gun. All right.
Yeah. Let's just. Anywho, I was just responding to
In
Crypto
GTA,
Jones's actually chill. An armed society is a polite society. That's what I was saying. Because if we both have guns, we're both not going to do anything to each other, right?
Right. Surely.
Anywho, I feel like, oh my gosh, today's stream is just like pure comedy. I don't know what I'm on right now. Like today's stream has just been pure comedy. But guys, look, just a little quick outline for the rest of the show. So we just completed our only interview for today. We didn't really like go through macro like we usually do before the interview because of the vibes we were on today. It was just pure comedy. I love chilling out with you guys and having great conversations. But for the rest of the show, we'll slide to macro. Some very interesting things developing there. So as you see, the title of the stream is the bottom in. If you think the bottom is in, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Let me know if you think we got more downside to go, or if we're going up. So we'll do some macro, and then we'll do some on-chain stuff, and we'll cover just some general breaking news to then close out the stream, and we'll go from there. But today's stream has just been pure comedy, and I actually love it. I actually just love like popping on and laughing, especially when there's like not much going on in the market.
Right.
All right. So let's start with this gun conversation is still stuck in my head.
That was quite a conversation. Quite
a convo. Anywho, so let's talk Bitcoin, guys.
Dare I say I kind of like this as a spring? If we can get a nice strong close above some of these candles, dare I say I like this as a spring for Bitcoin? Am I a bull tard? I don't know. No, I haven't seen enough to think that, but wouldn't hate it.
So I think I don't think this is the spring.
Bottom is not in.
Yeah, bottom is not in my opinion. I think we still have some more downside left. And look, a lot of people will tell you a lot of different things. I see a lot of people talking about Michael Saylor, for example. There's this account, Yan. Oh shoot, he follows me. What the heck? Let me follow the homie back. Yan Liberman, managing partner of Delphi Ventures. Shout out. Delphi Ventures. But yeah, he talks about basically, did Michael Saylor sell last week? Michael Saylor selling is kind of like the big thing to happen to markets. If he didn't sell, then that means that there's more downside, or at least more perceived downside, because people think that selling would lead to, him selling would lead to lower prices. If he did sell, then, that would constitute to a stronger bounce. And he's basically saying that his base case is that he sold $2 billion. And he also thinks there's a decent chance that Bitcoin bottoms into Monday if the market starts pricing in that he sold some. So do I really buy this whole narrative? And he really breaks down this entire thesis around strategy and selling, and if he sold and if he didn't sell and all of these good things. I really don't think that matters as much, because the reality is when you look at Bitcoin, you see that above 64K there's a 700 BTC sell wall, and right now we're running into that as we speak. We're about to run into that here. It's between 64 and 64.2K. There's about 700 BTC waiting to sell. So I kind of tend to agree with Crypto Jones here, like a dead cat bounce. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but yes, I think we have more downside ahead. Another reason outside of the sell wall was here, Rect Capital. He actually makes a really good point. And Rect Capital, he's more chartist and not necessarily newsworthy, or not necessarily taking into consider macro as much. He's all charts, and basically he talks about the 200-week SMA and how Bitcoin has deviated below it, over the course of previous bear markets, and we've done it from 14 to 31% below this this moving average, and right now we're only about 4.5% below. Let me real quick, just if we're only 4% below, let me just, I don't know, roughly draw something down. 10%, 12%. That puts us really deep into our green box here. So he's saying right now that we're already below this moving average. We need to go lower, and the targets that he's painting kind of put us right in the green box that we've drawn out for months now. So those are some reasons, for me, that kind of are a telling sign to say, all right, maybe we have more downside. Plus, I'd also like to bring out that, for the most part, Bitcoin bottoms are characterized by these like long accumulation, choppy environments. I mean, we did go through some chop there in February and March, but I think there's more chop. I think there's more chop to go through. What do you think, Dom?
I'm just like, I'm not in the business of predicting, bro. I'm much more in the business of reacting. I think like you simply identify levels where you're in deep value territory, and if you are, you start bidding. I think if you're patient, this is deep value territory for Bitcoin. I think the same thing for Solana, and I think the same thing for many altcoins, to be honest with you. So, like, do we go to 55? Like, again, I'm not in the business of saying we go to 55 or 45 or we're bottomed out here. It's just like anywhere below this point where we're below the previous all-time highs, where it's been, in a bear market for a year and a half, 2 years, right? If you follow that Bitcoin stock to flow, which has actually been accurate to date in terms of timing, are you accumulating in the ballpark of the right times, and are you accumulating in the ballpark of deep value territory? If you're yes on both of those and you're patient, you should be fine. So I obviously believe the bottom was in when we hit 60 on that capitulation. Clearly someone unwounded right there. Sellers clearly are still in control. I mean, just look at the attempted push up there, right? We accumulated sideways and then made this push up for so long and barely got anywhere, right? So you have, your reaction being very weak. So yeah, sellers are still in control. Now it's just a matter of where we get to a point where demand steps in and thinks it's a valuable zone. And I think we're in that deep value. So I don't know if this is a bottom here. I don't know if we go down another 10,000. For me, it doesn't really matter. I'm not leveraged. I don't have a stop loss. So yeah, I'm accumulating. Same with like Solana. I think Solana's in that deep value territory. So
100%.
Along with other things like, when you see Meteor or Pump Fund who are doing really good revenue in the worst market conditions for those specific protocols, it's like, yeah, we have deep value. We're just chasing strength there. Like what is strong in these markets, right? This is strong. WLD WorldCoin or whatever, Sam Altman's token. Near's been very strong. Railgun's been a very strong privacy play. It's bounced very nicely. So what's taken these dips and bounce? Serve, of course, getting write-ups, bouncing very, very nicely. Like you just got to bid the strength here. And the strength is still like 95% down from highs on most of these things. And I've said this in previous streams. We're at the point where everything's been in a bear market for years and years and years. Crypto's being overlooked so much. You actually have extreme value and people are just unwilling to bid. So if you're willing to buy those things that you notice are popping up and hold and be patient, assuming the market ever comes back, those should recover very nicely. It's why you look at the strength. It's very telling what's going to happen when the market turns around. Of course, all dependent on Bitcoin. Like Near, World, all that stuff is probably not going to go on some massive run if Bitcoin's going to be suppressed here for a long time. As long as Bitcoin's not going down, those have a good shot of doing well. If Bitcoin's in its perpetual down-only cycle, nothing's going to do well. So we just want sideways. Realistically, sideways or up.
Yeah,
that's my take.
And my take on this is pretty much this chart. This is what we're doing. This red circle that you see, down here. This is pretty much where we are. Shout out Killer XBT because he actually kind of came out with this chart, and it's honestly exactly what I'm thinking. Literally,
that chart's actually inaccurate though. The bottom would be an accumulation. The next one that has accumulation would be a reaccumulation, so on and so forth. But general ideas, right?
Yeah, I try to stay away from the redistribution accumulation terms because I just don't fully.
Yeah, I mean it can have manipulation, but it would be manipulation inside an accumulation. Nonetheless, I think like again, if you're trying to time the bottom rather than just buying at the red circle, too many people are trying to time the top and bottom. just try to capture 70% of the move, 50% of the move. I mean, there's some really good traders. This is what the real good traders. You guys are stuck on crypto Twitter watching these traders who think they're technical analysis, and like they're just so bad at it. There are real traders in financial markets that have done this for years. None of them will say time to top or bottom. No one ever says that. They say capture bulk of the move, capture 50, 60, 70% of the move, and you're good. So again, we're sitting here talking about whether the bottom's here, 10K below now. It's like, no, I'm happy buying at this red box. If we go lower, I'm comfortable sitting through drawdown. I'm so comfortable with that. And if I don't time the exact top, that's fine too. I just want 50, 60, 70, 80% of the move. And that's all you can really ask for. If you happen to be the 0.001% that times the top and bottom, dude, congratulations. It's actually how I've been able to do that the last couple cycles. Was not able to do it well this cycle. But like that should not be the goal. Should not be the goal.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair to Killer XVT, context for him, he's already started buying. He's of the same mindset of you are. Whereas, hey, look, I don't care if we go down another 5, 10, 20,000 bucks. Who knows and who cares? I'm just going to start laddering in now. And then wherever we decide to eventually bottom, we bottom. So he's basically set up bids throughout this entire zone, starting from like here and bang, bang. And he's just going to be laddering in the more it goes down. So I honestly agree with you there. Like, it's not a matter of like trying to time the exact top or the exact bottom, just a matter of cashing most of the move. I think though, what's really important is having this sense of, hey, what could happen next? Like, because a lot of people think, oh, we're going to like just recover, all the way up from here, double bottom, and it's like, no, having an expectation of, hey, look, we actually might go sideways here. We actually just might chop a little bit before going up. I think that having some sort of context and having some sort of expectation can help you to like not rush in and out of position, realize that you don't really have to buy. You don't really have to buy today. You don't have to put your whole position in right now. You can literally just DCA this entire this entire time and still capture a good decent bit of the deep value areas that a lot of these tokens are in right now.
And we talk about deep value. Like, let me just show you something, guys. The thing about bidding Bitcoin is you're bidding an entirely new asset class, where we talk about difficulty to price things, right? How can you price something? In traditional markets, you see price to earnings ratios, which we even see today are just so out of hand, right? SpaceX trading over 100x price to earnings, for example. But look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trading at 1.3 trillion. 1.3 trillion. We are going to have AI companies, Anthropic, OpenAI, so on and so forth, raise IPO at double this valuation, right? Or over a trillion 5. Bitcoin as a whole, which really defines almost the entire asset class, is sitting below $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion for a completely new financial primitive. Bitcoin is just not consensus, is what it is. Once Bitcoin is consensus, you can easily justify this valuation going 5x, right? Because you can call it new money. You can call it, right, the future of finance, whatever you want. And it's like, it's very hard to put a value on it because there are no price to earnings ratio. It's just a currency. You're hedging against the inflation. You're beating inflation. The US dollar and all fiat currencies are scams and Ponzi's, and they're going to zero over time, right? That's the conversation with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is at $1.3 trillion, of course, valued in US dollars, which is not how you should be looking at Bitcoin anyway, because again, the thesis on Bitcoin assumes that all fiat is going to zero over time. It's a Ponzi that will unwind. And you see Bitcoin, 1.3 trillion. On par with Anthropic, on par with OpenAI, sure, maybe slightly above. But again, a whole new financial asset primitive, and you have multiple private AI companies that are sitting around the same valuation of this, right? So that's why I look at, I'm like, okay, I can justify this being deep value territory because I could see it being 5x higher from this, and people still saying it's the only place to park my money. It is the only thing that happens to, can protect us from inflation. And so we're talking about crypto as a whole asset class from on CoinMarketCap. I don't know. Can we see the entire asset class of crypto in terms of value? What is it? Here, we'll take this, the CoinMarketCap 20 index. This is a top 20, I would assume. Now the market cap's going to be based on people that invested in this. I don't know, but I would assume the entire market cap of crypto is probably sub 2 trillion at this point. I should be able to see that. So, here, yeah, 2.2 trillion. The entire market cap of a new financial primitive is 2.2 trillion. We have private AI companies. SpaceX is a $2 trillion company, right? So I mean, like that's the thesis here for Bitcoin, Solana being in very deep value territory. It's hard, very hard to give a fair valuation. And like, if you do go and stack it up beside other world-changing primitives like AI, you have private AI companies that are going to soon flip Bitcoin in terms of market cap, right? So, one very bearish thing about Bitcoin is that it hasn't been outperforming QQQ for a few years now. Yeah, you're right. It is. It's been lagging. Now I would assume. Again, I would assume it reprices and outperforms greatly at some point, which is going to, again, even out the growth. But yeah, it's been underperforming, as was gold and silver for so long, right? So it's just ebbs and flows in the market, I think. But I guess you could say it's bearish. I don't think that's very bearish. When I look at these market caps, I think there's much more opportunity than there is risk. Of course, the risk being, quantum compute ends up happening in the next couple of years, and all of a sudden all these dormant crypto wallets get hacked into, and they sell this Bitcoin on the open market, and quantum computing kind of kills it. And that's why people are like, Saylor needs to step in and do something, Bitcoin needs fork, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But we also see the issues to private crypto, right? We saw what happened with Zcash. There was an exploit for years and years and years that people could print counterfeit Zcash and sell it on the open market, and no one had any way to check this until some guy literally asked Claude to go and do an audit on. Claude found the issue, and they reported and got it fixed. But for years, no one even knew how many people were exploiting this. Was it maybe no one, or maybe a ton of people, and we just never know about it because of these it's a private protocol, which again brings me back to why privacy does not belong at the chain level. It's a protocol level thing, right? I want to be able to put privacy into my wallet or put privacy into this. It should not be at the protocol level, in my opinion.
Daddy Duster, he says, do these record-breaking IPOs cause concern for a modern-day depression like we experienced in the late 20s after the roaring 20s? Here's my take. My big thesis that I've had ever since 2023, since I've been in this market, is that Bitcoin will go through a secular bear market. If you look on a high time frame on Bitcoin, we have been making higher highs and higher lows pretty much. I mean, yes, it's been, it's been a lot of crazy minus 80%, minus 50% swings, but we have overall been in a secular bull market for Bitcoin. And we've had bear markets, but I don't think we've had like a macro secular bear market for Bitcoin. And I think after this cycle, I think that's what's coming. That's been my thesis this entire time. And I think that during that time where Bitcoin's down only, we're going to that's where 90% of projects will likely fade off into oblivion. You can already see the beginning of that now with a lot of Dino coins dying, but there's going to be the need for innovative ways of investing in our space. That's why I'm excited about things like an Ace Round or things like a Bedrock or a Street or what have you, because when Bitcoin is in its bear market, people will still be building, companies will still be getting investment, still attracting customers, etc. But that's why I've always been more interested in, hey, like, what can we actually build in this space versus like just, I trade meme coins. I have nothing against them, but that's not like what I'm passionate about in this space. I'm passionate about what can we actually build and what can survive after, Bitcoin pukes. Because I honestly, bro, like if you ask me, we're seeing
notice the trend though, right? You
Yeah.
had roaring 20s, then the Great Depression. You had the dot-com bubble, which was, all the dot-com stuff running up before it blew up. What's the common denominator? Everything got frothy beforehand. Now,
Mhm.
we see that happening in the traditional markets right now. That is not happening with Bitcoin. So if we do have this bubble pop, right, we see the SaaS apocalypse, we see the AI apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, everything kind of just gives us a very strong reset, stronger than we've seen in recent years. Call it, like the Great Depression, call it like the dot-com bomb, like what COVID, except maybe exonerated a little more. I don't know. Exonerate is not the right word, but like COVID, except maybe even worse. yes, that happens in traditional companies, but Bitcoin hasn't been frothy, right? It hasn't had that roaring 20s. It hasn't had that .com run up. It's just been perpetually again trading outperformed by the QQQ in the last couple of years. So, we're not at wave 1 or wave 2 of what that would be. It's like we're kind of closer to the bottom of this bear market. So I don't know. I don't think. Yeah. So I guess what's your take on this, Chill? Then before we get this secular bear market that you're talking about, do we need a frothy Bitcoin? Do we need a frothy crypto market first, or is it like, hey, we may never top out again?
We are about to experience the largest, whether you want to call it altcoin season, risk on season on chain. It's going to be bigger than AI season on Solana in 2024. We're going to have the largest, most frothiest, most disgusting rally that you can see in our market in crypto. We can argue about, where that we're going to argue about, what narratives catch a bid. Do memes run? Does this happen? Does that happen? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reality is if you combine, if you also take a look at Ray Dalio, and I know he's a doomer. He's been talking about this for years and years and years, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, the U.S. will print more money than it's ever printed, even when compared to crypto. And once that happens, that will create, along with all the other things that we're seeing, the degenerative, speculative nature that retail is leaning towards. We just talked about Protail with Scissor. We see how everyone is looking to speculate via, prediction markets, on-chain, perps, meme coins. The whole Murad thesis about people seeking community, they'll definitely find it here in crypto. Like there's going to be so many ways for capital to flow in from a cultural standpoint. Whether it's people investing in cards, NFTs, whatever you name it. We can have a discussion around where this capital will flow, but the reality is there will be like a max greed window, like where everyone has money to shove somewhere, and you can call it maybe you say like who knows how this is going to play out. Maybe the US prints money and then that's another COVID style and builds another COVID style 2021 environment. But that's been the thesis. The thesis is the biggest, largest secular bear market for Bitcoin will come, but it will only come after the largest altcoin season that we've ever seen. And again, you can name that whatever you want to name it. But that's been my thesis for the entire time. And I don't think I've seen that, call it liquidity dispersion or whatever. I don't think some things on the macro side completely lined up this last cycle either. I think there's still more money that needs to be printed. I think there's a lot of structural cracks that's forming in the in the U.S. like banking system that's going to cause a lot of money printing to happen. So there's a lot of angles to this that we can draw it. And I'm not like an economist. I'm not a macro guy, so I only know what I know. And the only thing I can say for sure is they will print money. Could y'all tell me when to pull out? I don't need no kids. Jesus.
I'm not going to help you with that one, Josh, though. He'll definitely hand guide you through the pool in that process.
Oh my gosh.
What's your take on this? The Michael Saylor unwind. Say it happens now, say it happens in the future, say it never happens, whatever. Crypto Jones says MSTR is bearish in my opinion. The fact that Saylor can one day wake up and completely destroy the price is bearish. I think it might be an overhang, maybe less of an overhang. I don't think it matters in a bull market. Like I think the bull market's raging. No one's really talking about this. I think it's just, this is bear market things. I think the bull case would be Michael Saylor unwind. Like that's a buying opportunity once Michael Saylor unwinds for sure. So bearish that he holds, maybe I wouldn't say bearish. I'd say maybe a bit of an overhang, only an issue in a bear market where people want to find things to FUD and talk about. I think in the case that he does sell or the unwind does start happening, we probably see Jenny entries, to be honest with you. What he's got 4% of Bitcoin.
I think that's the goal. I don't know if you saw this tweet. But here's a in connection to this, in connection to Crypto Jones, which he's talk about how, you know, Michael Saylor could potentially just wake up one day and destroy the Bitcoin price. What if we don't know exactly what Michael Saylor wants to do? Look at this tweet by James Bull, and he's also a decent follow, good guy. Anywho, he says nobody understands the real end game that Michael Saylor is playing. Accumulate 1 million Bitcoin with MicroStrategy, already 84% complete. Get bought out or absorbed by the U.S. government for $100 billion to acquire 5% of the Bitcoin supply with zero slippage. Triple the Bitcoin price and make the U.S. government another $150 billion overnight. Michael Saylor isn't building a company; he's serving the U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve on a silver platter. So the question now becomes, okay, what's the risk of Michael Saylor waking up and selling? Would he sell if this is his goal? If his goal is to accumulate as much Bitcoin and basically just hand it all over to the U.S. government? I don't know. We don't know. We don't really know his long game, but I think this kind of makes a lot of sense. You know, I think that if we're going to be the crypto capital of the world, as they keep saying, I mean, it would make sense for them to own a decent chunk of Bitcoin.
It's risky though. It's risky because he's got the right now he's got the administration, I think, that supports him and Bitcoin's mission in general. Unlikely the next administration is as supportive, to be honest. So like long-term vision, yeah, maybe he finds an administration he can sell out to, but yeah, it's a good strategy. I don't know if I would bank on that strategy though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
It makes a lot of sense here.
It's something I've never heard before, and it actually like makes a lot of sense. This guy's just buying regardless of price, and you're telling me it's just because he's just that passionate about Bitcoin. Like, I mean, for sure, I get being passionate about Bitcoin and buying it for yourself, but like putting your entire company behind it, there got to be some bigger vision, right?
Imagine Saylor sold everything at the top in October. Would it be higher today in that case? I think it would have sped up the cycles process. I don't know. Like it's hard. It's an impossible question to answer. I think we would have gotten the dip to 60K very fast. I think we would have gone from whatever we topped out at to 60K much quicker than we did in this case. And bottom may already be in by now. Yeah. I'm not saying we would be at all-time highs, but I think bottom would probably be in. Potentially, but like, I mean, who knows? Like, who knows, right? But yeah, I do think Bitcoin. I think Saylor selling would be a massive overhang on lock. I think people would freak out and panic for the first day, pretty much day or two, and then I think it would quickly be absorbed by rational individuals saying, "Wait a minute, this is actually improving distribution, and we're getting a discount on our Bitcoin." So I don't see any other way to look at it. I don't see any other way to look at Saylor selling as a negative thing, unless like he basically says, all right, quantum's coming. We admit that there's no way to crack this. We sold everything. Like, unless there's some real change of fundamentals, I think it's just always going to be a bullish by the sell, or whatever you want to call it, by the dip.
Got it. So is Saylor unwind the narrative that resets the cycle? Probably. I don't think he will. I don't think he will unwind. I don't think Michael Saylor will blow up. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think the narrative alone could do it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Deep value territory, just buy.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, guys, something I really like on a lot of these like macro charts and stuff, I guess it'll be really helpful to share the time frame, sometimes when I talk about price, I'm just talking about the next leg of price. That's what I'm focused on, right? So when in these macro segments, like that, I'm going to make sure to emphasize that a little bit more. I'm just talking about the next leg of price, So right now, I think the next thing is to look for a lower high before we go back to Chop City. And I think there's going to be a lot of chop down here in this green box. So that's the next leg of price on Bitcoin. Let's go to quickly Ethereum. Let's see what's happening. Ethereum pretty much looking the same. Kind of told you guys last week that, below, as you get into these green lines here, obviously like back here, great place to buy. Back here, great place to buy. Like, these tend to be areas that are really good to buy for Ethereum. So I'm not going to be bearish at the bottom.
So let's play a little game here. Let's play a little game.
Talk to me.
Without looking at the market cap of Ethereum, what do you think a fair value would be for Ethereum token, right? What value would be justifiable for Ethereum today and maybe in the future?
Ethereum is going to $15,000.
Fair value in terms of market cap. Take out the price, right? If we're looking at Ethereum as an asset, what market cap would be fair for Ethereum based on what it provides to crypto? In your opinion,
I'm just going
trill right now.
I mean, look, I think Ethereum has. All right, let me just say this: it's all about the narrative around these assets. Bitcoin is just a vehicle for a narrative. Sovereign money is the narrative that it has. People can put whatever fair value that they want to put on that. Ethereum, the narrative, the problem with Ethereum is it has a narrative issue. That's why it's underperformed Bitcoin these last few years, because what is Ethereum used for? Because right now, a lot of the trading activity, it used to happen on Ethereum, but now it's on Solana. So that's why people were trying to value Solana higher than they valued Ethereum. The reality is there is no, not to say that there's no such thing as a fair value for Ethereum, but it's subjective to who you're asking. To the community, that there's one narrative that drives that it's going to zero eventually. There's always a subjective kind of take behind fair value, because there's no hard revenues or anything like that to drive fair value for something like a Bitcoin or Ethereum. I would say it's not based in revenue.
Well, Bitcoin you can at least say it's a store of value, right? Ethereum, transactions are low, right? Solana's transactions are outpacing them. Solana's revenues are outpacing them. They haven't been doing a lot in terms of the chain hasn't gotten faster, the chain hasn't gotten more secure. They said they're not supporting L2s anymore. I guess I'll speed this conversation up. Ethereum's valued at $200 billion right now. I'm not sure how you can it's down a lot. I'm all into dip buys, and this probably bites me in the ass. This is probably the bottom for Ethereum just now because I'm saying this. But how the hell does Ethereum justify a $200 billion valuation? Bitcoin at 1.25, I could justify with the narrative that it has. Ethereum though, and I know narrative and sentiments in the gutters, but $200 billion for what? What justifies a $200 billion valuation for it? Whereas you have Solana at the 40 billion, 35, 40 billion. I would have to check. So Ethereum at 203 billion market cap valuation, whereas Solana is at a 40 billion market cap and valuation.
I think I hold to the same thing. It's all about the narrative. And I think that, with Ethereum, they have a lot of things going on with privacy. We've talked about that with Railgun and the Kohaku upgrade. They have deflationary supply. Ethereum has, they've been pretty much deflationary with any level of activity on the chain. You can argue that yes, activity and stuff like that is low now. But also Ethereum is a great place for AI agents to have privacy as well. That's a narrative that they're leaning into. So I think it all depends on the narrative, and the narrative will dictate and the narrative will kind of dictate flows anyway, right? But ultimately,
I think Ethereum being at 200 billion, where Solana's at 40 billion, is just I could justify a 40 billion. Yeah, I could justify a $40 billion market cap for Solana right now. I think, based on their transactions, based on their growth projections, whatever you want to call it, I think 40 billion I could justify for Solana. 200 billion I could really not justify for Ethereum right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but it's one of the oldest assets that's existed in our space. It's one of the cycle over cycle we see so many change pop up, and look you can see ADA and how and Polkadot and
list goes on.
The list goes on.
BNB and Ethereum are the only two tried and true ones so far.
And
right?
just off of that, people will value that. People can say, okay, I can see the 200 bill valuation. Maybe it goes higher. Maybe it doesn't really matter what the fundamentals are. Maybe it just matters that the Bitcoin price is going up, and then eventually, as Ethereum prices go up, the flows will just follow, right? Like, yeah, I definitely think that this is bottom territory for ETH. ETH has 38 billion TVL. That's almost. Wait, did you say that Solana was 20 bill FDV?
Solana's at 40 billion FDV.
Jesus,
40 billion.
So Ethereum has as much TVL as Solana has market cap. Maybe that's why it's much valued much larger. I don't really know what the TVL is for Solana though. I don't think it's much. I think the DeFi activity has mostly happened and remained on ETH. Especially if you include L2s.
Yeah, I actually have no idea what the TVL on Solana is.
TVL is around 4 billion.
4 billion.
Okay.
Outpacing? Is Solana outpacing Ethereum? Would be interesting.
We can check DeFi Llama and we can see it. It'll be interesting to kind of compare chains, see who's doing what. Let's take a look.
Solana operates the exact same if the price is $30 as it does when it's 300. So in whose interest is it to have it be 300? Solana operates the exact same if the price is $30 as it does when it's 300. So in whose interest?
Interesting.
You're saying as a store of value? Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah. What is this? TV. Let me see. I need TVL. Need TVL on this. Okay. All right. Well, I can't find the TVL and all that stuff right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look it up and I'll probably just make a post about it.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, I'll put a pin in it and make a post about it. But either way, I think that, again, I'm just going to wrap this whole thing up. Ethereum. All right, I'll be conservative, 10,000 plus, but my target remains 15K for ETH.
I wonder how much assets under management are in each chain in terms of like stable coins and whatnot. So those are a few things, TVL, and then like assets on each chain, right? How many assets are tokenized? How much USDC is on each chain, right? Because
Yep.
Nonetheless.
Okay, so according to DeFi Llama, by the way, 40 billion in TVL on ETH, 6 billion on Solana, and BNB has 5.3 billion, which is crazy. Base is at number 4 at 4.6 billion. So if you want to
Base 4.6.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting actually, because Base has not been around, or at least as long as Solana. And I think it's been like. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. Real quick, we're coming up on 3 hours here streaming, guys. So we'll shut her down here shortly. Let's just run through Solana. Not looking too hot. I'm not even looking on lower time frames for Solana. I think right now I'm just going to pay attention to the 2-month FEG. Just like for Bitcoin, we paid attention to the 2-week FEG for resistance. I think this is a great area of support for Solana, and we just have to kind of look for reasons to get long, and I don't really see one right now. So that's literally all I'll say on Solana. I think we still have to explore some downside. And again, if my thesis holds and we are in for, Chop City here over the next weeks and months, then, anything can happen to price as Bitcoin bounces around.
And real quick, okay, so it seems like if Solana's got 6 billion total value locked versus 30 billion, or versus 40 billion, they have about 15% locked. whereas Ethereum has 40 billion against what is it, 200 billion market cap. So they have more like, okay, they do have a higher percentage compared to market cap locked. I just wanted to, because like Solana could not at this moment have 38 billion TVL. It just couldn't. It's a $40 billion asset. That'd mean like 90 whatever percentage is locked. So like the TVL is naturally going to go up as the asset increases in value.
And I'll say this on both Ethereum, on both ETH and Solana. They both have very limited circulating supply. If you guys remember from our stream, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I talked about ETH, ETH has a record low. ETH has a record low in terms of supply available on exchanges. It's at multi-year lows. Same thing that with Solana as well. We talked about this on stream too. About I believe it was, the figure was like 80 to 90% of Solana was locked up in, you know, DATs, investors, and all this other stuff. So there's a lot to consider there as well. Not only about when we're talking about TVL of each chain, but also, you know, that deflationary dynamic could come into play where there's a lot of supply locked up, and then there's still a lot of demand that needs to come in, and when it does, you know, that could be really bullish for price. All right, so there's Solana. A couple of the large caps that we're watching. Hyperliquid, a freaking cooker on this one. Really liked my entry on this. I'm not certain this goes right back to all-time highs. I actually clipped out. I was happy with my profits on that long, so I clipped that one out. But we very well can go back up to the range high. We wicked the range low. What I'd like to see on a lower time frame is us go back into this this green zone here. I'd like to see us go back into this green zone here on a pullback. And that's when I'd look to get long, just after another higher low. That's what I'm looking at for Hyperliquid. But ultimately, I think it still continues to outperform the market. So, you know, if you're a spot, this is more so from an active trading leverage perspective. But if you're just holding spot on this, I think you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine.
Centrini Research also had this in their recent press release, or whatever you want to call it, where they talked about Hyperliquid being like an up and coming asset you should be watching. So that was like a pretty 100%. Strong show of confidence there.
And that's at all time high. I mean, like literally, we're just above our previous all time high. So I think we can likely see, like, I don't want to be a moon boy, but I can see us going like to 150, $200 on this. Maybe even more, you know, depending on, like if we're talking 12 months from now, I'm thinking we're seeing I'm thinking, yeah, I think we're seeing like above 200. WorldCoin is another one that we're watching. Unfortunately, my limit order didn't get hit on this one, but basically, looking very strong, one of the strongest coins. It is coming into like an area of resistance here. I'm expecting it to flip this area, but I'm looking for evidence of that. My base case over the weekend was for us to bounce from the green, and as you see, we did. So now I'm just kind of waiting to see what price does. So I'd be looking for I'll be looking to get long if it does revisit this green box. I don't see it doing that though. So I might see if I can target, like, you know, maybe an FEG or something like that. We'll see what happens. But right now we're about to flip another level of resistance here, and this is actually a pretty key level that we're about to flip. I marked out the OpenAI IPO because I think we can speculate and be long on this. Until the IPO. From then, it's probably like a sell the news, and I might go short. But let's but yeah, sounds good. That's WorldCoin. Hasn't really given a lot of dips, but I'm gonna try to see if like I can get long on this one. TON is another one that we're still continuing to watch. I think we're in a very interesting position here. Actually, I really love my entry. I'm not gonna lie. I went all the way down on TON. So the high time frame views on TON, real quick, is basically we're in an uptrend, right? Like ever since we broke out of the downtrend back in May, we basically have been in this huge not huge, but we have been in an uptrend. We hit our first area of resistance up here, so we're now pulling back. But basically now we're resyncing. We're looking at syncing back up with the high time frame, right? We're in an uptrend. As we're going down, we tap this area of support there, and now we're going back into an uptrend. So now I'm just looking to get long. I did get long, and I was actually like very, very proud of myself because I literally had high time frame views. Low time frame has been like, we're going down, but now we're getting the bounce, and I actually literally re-entered right on this small little wick right here. I re-entered right here at 164 on this long. On the retest of the low time frame market structure break. I'm really working on myself as a trader, and I'm just patting myself on the back because no one's perfect. We all make mistakes when we trade, but it really does feel good to smash a nice little long off, some good old fashioned hard work. So TON is another one. Ondo with the 2-day SFP over the weekend. I did not get in along or take a position on this one, but it is one that I'm watching. If we revisit the 33-cent level, I'll then look to get long on that one as well. That's another one that's looking really good. And then lastly, Near Protocol, similar to TON, right? Like it's now broken out of this long accumulation that it was in down here. Down here it was in this long accumulation. And I'll just make it that, right? There's this long accumulation process. It's now broken out in an uptrend, and it was going down for it was going down a little bit here, as you can see, as a ton of people capitulated their bags, like Arthur Hayes and a few others. But now it's syncing back up with the high time frame, uptrend. And so I'm going to look for a higher low to form here. I'm gonna look up for a higher low to form somewhere here, maybe, and we'll get a sense of when we can get long. But I need more price action to develop here. I think Bitcoin again still not done with the lows, so I'm assuming all these assets, even if they're good, they're gonna still give some entries to get long after they've all bounced, because a lot of these have bounced. XPL is another one that I'm looking at as well. XPL, I know Plasma is not well received by crypto Twitter, but they have some catalysts coming up in June, and they just swept the lows. I'll keep monitoring that one to get long, and that's pretty much it on the majors. As far as on chain, we do have a few things. If there's anything that you guys want me to cover, let me know. But we do have some alpha, some stuff happening on chain. First things first, I don't know if you guys saw Repo. Repo was doing pretty good here over the weekend. They have some good metrics historically. Every time we've interviewed them several times. Anyone in Repo, by the way, let me know in the chat if you are. I think a few of you are. I think Crypto Jones is. But there was this tweet by the homie PX721. He basically says more demand for Repo was generated over the last 3 days than in all prior network history combined. 476K to 1 mil plus network fees. And as he said, first 100K took 1.5 months. 350K took 23 days. 450K took 10 days, and 1 million arrived days later. Right. So obviously, retention rates are massive, user base massive. A lot of repo locked. A lot of repo continues to be restaked, and there's a lot that the protocol continues to be used for. So repo is actually looking very, very good. It's looking really, really solid there as far as concerned. And if we go on the chart looks a tad bit messy. I'm not gonna lie to you. So here is the chart, and let me clean up this chart a little bit for you guys, because I was using this as an example for something, but I don't know what the heck this wick was. But this is we're approaching some support here. Very key place. Very key place. Great project just to chill and straight up DCA. I think it's one of those projects. I have this chart on the 3-day time frame. So obviously this isn't doing like a lot, right? Like there's not a ton of volume trading this. A lot of this supply is locked up. And so just one of those ones that you can just kind of accumulate over time. All right. Let's see here. Another one that we can look at is RatSpeak. If you guys remember RatSpeak, we talked about that, about 900K or so. It's at a 1.5 mil. I think my chart on the market cap, yep, that shows it much better. So as you can see, we're kind of forming this triangle here, and we can even, if you want to do it like this, you can too. As far as how you want to draw it. There's so many different lines and different ways that you can draw this thing, but ultimately this was an area of resistance. It's acting as an area of support, as it recently did here. And we may tap the support a time or two more, but for now it's looking good. It's looking solid. I think the dev is also, he mentioned that he's opening up RatSpeak to AI agents. So that's something to be aware of as well. Let me actually take a look at that, because that was actually covered in, I believe it was Theo's Telegram, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm gonna try to grab something from their Twitter. Okay, so it doesn't say it in their Twitter account. Let me see if DeFi Dude, he's the founder, the one building RatSpeak, and he was the one who said it. He said it somewhere. Okay, so I don't see it on his account either. So what I'll do is I'll just read it straight from the horse's mouth. And I won't show you guys, but I will say it. So in regards to RatSpeak, he says, going to start some work on RatSpeak CLI. Most of the ground is laid for it, so should be able to get it out this week. Lots of people have been asking for agent AI support, so they can use RatSpeak to communicate privately and or offline with their LLM agent. So this will allow for that easily for those that use OpenClaw or equivalent tools. The other thing will be finishing up the work on the LilyGo T-Pager finally, and launching the first release for that this week, aiming for Friday the latest on the first version. I'm also going to continue some of the work on making Reticulum capable of running embedded devices, so that there's an alternative code base for the first time other than C++ port, plus the 10 first run nodes will be shipping out. So obviously there's a lot that he's working on this week, opening up to AI and AI agents, integrating that with the protocol. He's obviously launching like a sort of like a white paper, if you will. And then he's also coming out with another sort of like capability that you can embed devices in, and nodes will be shipping this week. So there's a lot going on there with RatSpeak. I wish I can actually show that to you guys on screen, but that's the chart on RatSpeak, and that's the kind of fundamentals. You guys, we kind of talked a lot about this already, so you pretty much know a lot about RatSpeak. Other than that, I see Litcoin still kind of meandering around the buy zone that we had marked out. I believe we have them coming in this week, but this chart, I really do love it. I really do love it. Outside of that, let's go quickly to utility on Solana. We've talked about all the utility stuff on Solana already. So no need to rerun everything that we've gone through. One thing I will, because obviously, you know, Clued looking good, Opal especially looks good. Here's the chart on Opal here. Yeah, so Opal's looking good. Bouncing off the buy zone that we had marked out. I actually did some buying in here as well. Bought a little bit more Opal. Crypto, what's happening, bro? GM. Another one that I wanted to mention here was Pi. We talked about Pi. I don't know if you guys remember on Friday, we really did a deep dive on Pi, and we talked about literally everything, how they were competitive with other AI models, how, you know, how they did more efficient work, although they didn't, they're not like in terms of like raw intelligence, they're not like the top dog in the LLM race, but they compete on that level with other LLMs, and they do that more efficiently with the Pi model that they have. I believe it's called All Pi Core, and they, you know, it can basically holy moly, came in with some fire. Cryptic 5683. Holy moly. But yeah, so you know, Pi is looking good. It's obviously very competitive in terms of efficiency. It's not the top dog in terms of just raw intelligence, but it does keep pace with them on the intelligence side. But the most important thing is it doesn't use as many tokens. It's way more efficient. It has faster inference, and it's loads cheaper. I think like 10x cheaper or something like that when compared to other models. So, you know, for people that are building that need to, you know, be more cost conscious, it's really important for, you know, small time researchers, you know, people that really can't afford to use some of these bigger AI models, but still need to rely on they still need a reliable model to use. This is a really great alternative. And there's actually some news that came out here about 169 Pi. Here's the news. Breaking news. ISRO, India's space agency and the country's equivalent of NASA, is a strategic partner of the Pi team. ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, is the Indian similar to NASA. 169 Pi is collaborating with ISRO's centers, including URSC, on AI systems and applied intelligence connected to India's scientific and national missions. The work is aligned with GYAAN, an AI-driven knowledge initiative focused on structured reasoning, research assistance, and smarter access to complex information. This also extends into education. And then they also said, lastly, building indigenous AI capabilities with institutions shapes India's future in science, education, and technology. So, you know, we know that 169 Pi, ISRO is proving quickly, by the way. What do you mean, Roman? Oh, improving. Okay, it's improving quickly. Got it. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But you know, it's good to see that number one, they are improving, and number two, they're adopting some pretty novel technology in order to do so. It's a very interesting project here, actually. I've always said that about Pi. We know that they were based in India, but it's good to see that they're really, you know, laying their roots down. They're collaborating with the Indian equivalent of NASA. So they're collaborating with, whether that's, I'm assuming, a government organization. But good to see them collaborating with you know, other big minds. And it really, like, to me, it really proves the legitimacy of the technology, right? It's not just numbers on a screen or numbers in a white paper. It's actual real tech that's getting real adoption in the world and making a difference. As you can see here, it says that it's driving the future of India in fields like science, education, and technology. So I think that's pretty groundbreaking stuff, if you ask me. So that's Pi. And I think, let's see what else. We have Codec. We talked about robotics earlier. Codec bouncing off of the the top of its previous range. Here's the chart on Kodak. They launched Simarina recently. So, very big launch, attracting users. And, that basically that Simarina launch is like their core, product that will help to reduce the barrier of entry for a lot of people looking to, create technology in the robotic space. Let's see. I think that's it. Other than that, I don't know much about Zeoth. I do need to do more reading, but something tells me that Zeoth is gonna likely make a run for it at some point. I think right now, just overall on chain, I'm looking for things that I can accumulate over time. I don't think we're going to be in this V-shaped recovery type of environment with Bitcoin where, things just send. I think it's going to take a few weeks, maybe a few months, depending on how things work out. But at the very least, it's going to take a few weeks, for things to really start to get going again. So I'm really looking to just eye a lot of, use these as I print on the leverage side, I just use that to then DCA on the on-chain side. So not really looking like doing a lot of quick trading and stuff like that. I mean, I do, we have the Discord, and that's been doing us some good. But yeah, let's see what else. Anything else? Nothing. Oh yeah, Goblin. I don't know if you guys saw this Goblin chart meandering around the buy zone, but this is like, it's a meme coin, but it's like I'm not really like buying a lot of meme coins right now. We were at one point when the entire space was undecided on whether it liked utility tokens or not. But now that the Ace rounds have been popping off, the Solana tech coins have been doing well, some base tech has been doing well, I think I'm more comfortable being more heavily focused on innovation, on technology, on meaningful technology, and projects actually doing something to push the space forward. But with all of that said, this Goblin token kind of got my attention. Here's the thesis. The first viral concept spread by LLMs themselves. The idea isn't from humans, not promoted from humans. It's literally born from the LLMs, the first of its kind. So basically an AI meme coin. Shout out 2024 Solana season. The LLMs have already shown signs of spreading the concept amongst themselves. And through them, it's passed on to humans with the OpenAI team embracing it thus far. But this is just the beginning. ChatGPT alone has 1 billion users, a figure which will only grow over time. It's not unrealistic to see this number at 4 to 5 billion in the next 2 to 3 years. That's an audience of almost 5 billion that ChatGPT can infiltrate with its ideas, and particularly its obsession over time. We have never had a play like this with such virality potential. No other play has had a genuine chance of being exposed to this number of people over such a long time. Additionally, there are some strong catalysts on the horizon here too, with the next GPT update and then the eventual OpenAI IPO. This is discounting other LLMs and their respective teams, starting to mention Goblin more and more too. This play is so much more than just waiting on tweets from OpenAI devs. It's about the first ever mind virus spread by LLMs, something we've never seen and something that will be so obvious as we start going back up again. Goblin mode is inevitable, Cryptic says. So that's the thesis around Goblin. If you remember Goblin here at this level, basically this was when Sam Altman tweeted about Goblin and really, again, put the discovery in discovery candle. This is when I discovered Goblin as well. So now that it's fully retraced that move, I tend to be a little bit more like kind of leaning bullish here on Goblin, especially with the narrative around it being that the LLMs are spreading. So I don't know if to say it's a meme. I don't really know what it is exactly. What exactly is Goblin? What I do know is the mind share that it could potentially garner. That's number one. Number two, I know that the OpenAI team is also very aware of this trend with LLMs. I know that other AI labs are also aware of this trend, and I know the Open AI IPO is coming later on this year, which will act as a tailwind for things like WorldCoin. But as people shift to looking for on-chain exposure, I can see Goblin being, being one of the um, places that capital will flow to get on-chain exposure to the event that is OpenAI IPO. So that's something to keep in mind, something I'll be watching as well. Other than that, let's see, is there any other on-chain alpha I have for you guys? I think that's it. We covered quite a bit today. Last thing, I guess, is just from the homie Snotty. Just more so, not like a project or anything, but just more so a mentality around how to approach on-chain right now. Why trading beats bag holding in this market. I think it's something that has that's been very different, in times past. Before, in past cycles, it's just about holding a token and buying low, selling high. But now the game has changed. The game is different. And that's what Snotty here is talking about. He says market structure has changed. It's no longer buy, hold, and wait. It's now enter, ride narrative, exit, and rotate. Attention moves fast. Liquidity follows attention. We're in a consumption-driven cycle. People don't marry coins anymore. They date narratives. AI today, new infra tomorrow, memes next week. Capital migrates constantly. In a fast rotation environment, being a bag holder isn't conviction, it's inertia. Especially in micro caps and on-chain plays, value is created in the move, not in the hold. Cycles are shorter, hype peaks faster, communities rotate quicker. The edge is no longer who holds the longest. The edge is who exits with discipline. Trading doesn't mean overtrading. It means being selective with your entries, having clear targets, planning your exits, and rotating your capital. Less noise, more precision. Long-term holder is just basically, he says, a way to be lazy. Real capital players compound. They don't marry narratives, they surf them. And he basically says that his framework is on-chain dreamer, tactical trader. Enter early, scale conviction, exit into strength, and then rotate. Adaptation is alpha in this cycle. Less trades, better timing, higher edge. And so what he's saying is, it doesn't need to be this like quick in and out where you're like trading, 1,000 times per day on one extreme. But then on the other side of the extreme, it's also not holding for, 12 months and just expecting to be in profit, right? There is going to be this ebb and flow to this market. And while it doesn't mean that you need to be trading all of the time, multiple times during the day, but maybe it does require buying, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 tokens, maybe 2 to 4 tokens each month, right? Like maybe that's your speed. Or maybe it's just a matter of, hey, all right, look, one narrative has played out. I'm now up, call it 3, 4x, 5x. All right, time to take profit, rotate the capital to where liquidity will rotate next. Because what we're seeing now is even in these ace rounds, man, like you can even look at something. You can even look at something like, what? I already have either way pulled up. I already have this either way chart pulled up. Let's just look at that, for example, right? Like you're now up. Let's say you bought this range here, the middle of this range. You're now up 3x at all-time high. Are you going to be a bull up here and say, oh man, we're going to hundreds of millions? Or will you take profit? That's essentially what he's saying, because essentially he's like, you're selling into strength. So what you're supposed to do is really sell this move right here and rotate your capital. And if you did, you'd have saved yourself a ton of downside. And if you're the lazy holder that basically said, no, like, I believe in higher prices, I have conviction, I'm going to hold longer, you've now round tripped your entire position. And if you bought in the middle of the range, in this case, you'd be in a loss. So yeah. Daddy Duster, these are the brothers that launched 2 coins same day, abandoned one within the hour. LOL, glad they didn't abandon the other token. Been a few months. I wonder which one was that one in reference to, Daddy Duster. Sometimes when it's just me here, I gotta just put on the comments on screen because sometimes I just don't see them pop up. But yeah, that's kind of the the positioning that I'm thinking about here. When it comes to on chain, like rotate your capital, especially now, like these next couple of months, if we truly are, you know, if we truly are going to be this sort of in this sort of rotational in this rotation focused market, you know, maybe there's some plays that you stack, right? Like, we'll stack our Opal, we'll stack our Clued, maybe Pi, right? Like we'll stack a few of these like obvious ace round plays. But outside of just the few obvious plays, oh, that was the LLM from Orinth Alpi. Got it. Um, but yeah, once you have the plays that you want to stack, you just rotate your profits into those plays. That's kind of how I've always historically done it. That's how I did it in the last bear market. I think that's how I'm doing it here too. But very great thread here from the boy Snotty. Okay. Guys, so real quick, I didn't really get a chance to do this. We're wrapping up stream here. And we usually do this at the beginning of the stream, but we're actually ending the stream here today. We're ending the stream right now. So I want you to do me a favor. For everybody that'll actually replay this stream, we'll do that for them. We'll do this for them. So as you guys know, if this is your first time watching us, we're MCG Live. We cover anything happening on chain, narratives, projects that are popping off, on chain events, on chain news, debates happening on the timeline. We talk about everything that you could be possibly seeing in these markets. And so we're live Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. We interview founders. We have these high level discussions about projects, about trends, about narratives, about the future of our industry and where everything is headed. If you like those discussions, you want to hit the follow button here on our account. So you want to go to @MCG Live. And the first thing that you'll do is hit follow. The second thing that you'll do is this. You'll want to scroll down, go to our pinned tweet. You'll click the pinned tweet and you'll hit two things. You'll hit like and RT. Let's all do that. Let's all just take a moment. So I'll just take a quick moment to do that. We hit like and we hit RT. And this stream is going to be replayed, I'm sure. And there's a lot of valuable things that we discuss here today that I think will be really valuable as well. It'll be really valuable as well for the for anyone else that could find it. So appreciate you guys. By the way, quick little update as well for the about the Discord. So the Discord is coming together quite nicely. A lot of us are in there. A few of you guys, our core audience members, are in there, and we're doing exactly what we do on these streams. We research, we share our thesis together. We share different things that we find, ideas on the market, where things are headed. We have really constructive, conversation about these things. So it's a really good place to get like-minded traders together. So if you're looking for a place to trade, you're looking to not just be in a random group chat and just have to like sift through thousands and thousands of messages to get to the real alpha. If you want to come in and get an opportunity to trade with like-minded people as yourself, not scamming each other, launching tokens, but doing real research, getting a real thesis for projects, looking into metrics, numbers, founders. And then that contributes to our show as well, because a lot of these projects that we might discuss or find in the Discord, we might bring them onto the show, right? And so if you're one of our core audience members and you're watching this now, we'd love to have you in the Discord. Daddy Duster, I got you. Don't even worry about it, bro. Don't even worry about it. Let me put your comment up. He said, tap me in, chill. I got you. No problem. I'll send you a DM here right after the stream. And and right now, it's a private Discord, but we will open it to the public here very soon. So if you're looking to get in, your wait is almost over. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it for today, guys. I really appreciate you guys tapping into the stream. I'm gonna go ahead. I got some setups, some chart stuff to do. Got a bunch of stuff to do for the Discord. I'll be making some changes and some tweaks there. And I'll also be doing a lot of extra things. So yeah, let me go ahead and run. Appreciate you guys for checking out the stream. If you're just joining us live, then go ahead and rewatch the stream. We had an awesome chat today, awesome interview, and then we had a lot of on-chain alpha, a lot of setups, a lot of majors, and it's just some good, funny, entertaining discussion. So feel free to have fun with that. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'll see you on the timeline. And for those of you in the Discord, I will see you in the Discord. Deuces.